Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. Today we're joined by Arsenal and YouTube royalty Dan Potts from Football's 12th Man podcast. It's been a while. How are you, sir?
Too long, brother. Too long, man. I hope you're well. Yeah, man, I'm good, man. I mean, aside from football, I'm good. I've had a good Christmas and New Year. I'm still freezing cold down here. Every time that I've spoken to someone, right, they've been in the last few days in Australia or in a hot country, and it's really doing me head in. So I'm glad that me and you are both freezing together, mate. But how are you,
Mate,
man?
did you see me just as we were about to
Yeah.
get started? I was like, Jesus Christ, it's cold. And do you know what? The worst thing the other day, the loft hatch on my ceiling just collapsed on its own, and trying to find a carpenter that can install a new one is like trying to find a league title at White Hart Lane. It's really tough. Look, welcome and congratulations on the success of your channel. It's blown up massively over the last year and a half, 2 years,
Thanks,
mate.
man.
So
Cheers, bro. I appreciate that.
big up to you.
Likewise yourself, man. Likewise.
Oh, mate, no, mine is where it should be and what I want it to be. Dan, we have got the North London Derby, so we're going to talk all things North London Derby tomorrow night. I want to know what's going on at your club. You know, we can look in as outsiders, but it's the same as if somebody tells me about my club. I'm like, well, hang on, that's not quite true. So I want to find out from your perspective. Ornstein has tweeted today about some potential Arsenal movement. And you know me, Dan, I'm not a clickbait person. I'm not someone that goes, so-and-so signing just because a name was probably mentioned by somebody sitting in their pants in Nigeria or the America or something. Everyone in the chat, please subscribe if you haven't already. We're only 5 subscribers away now from 15.5K. And if you haven't subscribed to Dan's channel, please do. Not just Arsenal. He has a lot of panel shows with a lot of different fan bases on. It's always good to watch. He's got some right characters in there. Dan, first of all, talk to me. Arsenal. From the outside looking in, purely league, we'll look at it and go, well, okay, all right, you're second. You know, you're the closest challengers, if you will, to Liverpool. The fans aren't happy, though. What's going on? What's different from what we're seeing from the outside to what is actually happening at Arsenal Football Club?
Yeah, I think a lot of the problems that I've been quite vocal about has always been the manager in terms of on the pitch. And I think that that's no different. I think what Mikel Arteta has tried to do this season is overthink and overcoach, if I'm honest. And I do believe that he is what people are saying that he is, and that is scared of losing. He seems to have this PTSD now to go out and express himself. And it's all so robotic and rigid and compact and resolute. And that has definitely nullified most of our attack and most of our play going forward. And it wasn't so long ago, even in the back end of last season and in the season before that, where we were in 2 title races right until the end, really, where we were playing some scintillating football, Savva. You know, not a lot of people wanted to play Arsenal. They were all looking at Arsenal, appreciating the football. At the time, I think there was quite a few fans, and rightly so, that looked at Manchester City still at favourites. But in terms of what Arsenal were actually trying to achieve, I think they could appreciate and were quite enjoying watching Arsenal play football. So we know what Arteta can do. My problem is that I don't think Arteta's managed to stick to one style. It seems that for every game, he's trying to be too clever and he's trying to get over the line. He's trying to worry about not losing as opposed to going out for the win. And we've seen quite a lot of negative football with Arsenal. Southgate and England has been kind of looked at similarly in terms of you've got that quality squad that can go out and blitz teams, but you're choosing kind of not to. And we've already seen, even with Lee Carsley in charge, that as soon as we get a different type of manager that doesn't want to do that, we can go forward as an England team and start to show some good attacking football, although it's painful still to watch England most of the time. With Arsenal under Mikel Arteta, it seems that this season he wants to just try and be that kind of resolute, compact team that does a Diego Simeone 1-0 or 2-1. And when you're playing that style of football and you're not winning, as you know, under Conte at Spurs, it ain't good. So when you play that negative football and you're not winning, West Ham fans will tell you under Moyes and Allardyce, and Spurs fans will tell you under Conte. I'm sure there's some Atletico Madrid fans will tell you that when they don't win, Diego Simeone's a nightmare. But when they do win, he's a masterclass, right? So when it comes to Mikel Arteta's style, you have to win 2-1 or 1-0 if you're going to play that way. And I just think that with the players we've got, we shouldn't be going down that road. There's been very negative substitutions from him, very negative ways that we've set up the team. Subs have come on, such as Thomas Partey, who's been utilised sometimes at right back. Jorginho's been brought on. Zinchenko, Tierney, Calafiori. These are the game players we're bringing on to try and win us games. This is not the Arsenal that I wanted to see 5 years in with this much money spent. So I think a lot of it has to come with the manager, and a lot of it then has to epitomise to the summer that I thought was a horrendous summer. I thought Calafiori was an okay signing. I'm cool with that. But is that really it? Marino and Sterling coming in. Neto as the keeper who's not going to kick a ball for Arsenal. Very, very bizarre when you look at that. So I don't think that Mikel Arteta has covered himself in a lot of glory this season. And I think our board and ownership have showed that they're not serious by trying to get Sterling on the cheap on loan, as opposed to going and getting a proper number 9. It's been 5 years now, Savva, and we've still not replaced Aubameyang. We've still not really got a left back that's better than Kieran Tierney yet. And we've still not really replaced anybody for Granit Xhaka in the middle. So we're still kind of waiting. 30 players now Mikel Arteta's had, which is enough of 3 squads to make up of. And we're still yet to win a major or even a domestic cup since he's done that. So I'm in a bit of a pickle with it, mate. If I'm honest, I'm a bit deflated.
Yeah, good. I'm glad that you sound miserable. It stops me sounding so miserable. I mean, look, I'm going to get in a minute. I'm going to bring up what you guys have spent since Arteta's been there versus what we've spent. And there's a few things I want to talk to you about this morning. I'm going to look at some facts and stats. Everyone knows I like to look at a little bit of data. I want to talk as well about, I spoke to you about this yesterday on WhatsApp. Turkish has made himself worldwide famous after his rant after the game. I think last night when I went to bed, it had like something like 700,000 views, his rant. And the reason I bring that up is because I think it's very relevant to both clubs. And I also want to start off by asking you about this. I looked at Arsenal's form yesterday in the league, right? Purely in the league. You haven't lost for 10. You're 10 games unbeaten in the league. You are second. A lot of people, especially I suppose Spurs fans, will dramatise it that Arsenal are in pure meltdown and Arsenal are terrible and they're collapsing. Is it that bad, or is it that you haven't kicked on? Because there's a difference, right, between being dreadful and he's taking you backwards versus, well, we're still second where we've been for the last 2-3 years, but we've made no effort, even in the year when Man City are going through I call it what you want these days, Dan, a rebuild, a process, trust something, I don't know, a project, whatever they call it. You're still not moving forward. So is it as bad as people think, or is it just purely that you've not kicked on?
I think it's more the latter. We haven't moved forwards. Some might think that he's taken us backwards on the pitch, and I could kind of get behind that in terms of the results and the draws that we're playing, the style of football that we're playing. I think what's frustrating me the more, though, is that I think he's starting to lose his marbles a bit. And that's quite extreme. But in his press conferences, it's actually quite embarrassing listening to Mikel Arteta at the moment, if I'm honest with you. Listening to some of the stuff that he's talking about, how we deserved to win games when we're not winning them, when clearly we didn't deserve to win them, how everything that we did was perfect. It's just our finishing that's letting us down. Well, it's not really. There's more than that. He's blaming the ball, even though that Carabao Cup, we scored 13 goals with that ball. He's now saying that because we didn't win the game, well, it must be the ball's fault. It's flying all over the place and we're hitting it over the bar. These are the kind of things I'm getting frustrated with. The other thing that frustrates me is when we actually see a team that's coming off the pitch that doesn't really look like it's got much passion and desire. In the interviews, he's sticking up saying, 1, I love these players, and 2, I'm so incredibly proud of what they've achieved in the last 3 days. Well, they've gone out of both competitions. So how have we achieved anything? So I think he's trying to look at it going, well, it's not me, it's not the players, it's just bad luck. There's more to it than that, Savva. You've got to have a bit of luck in this game. I totally agree. I think by winning the majors and any trophy, you might need a little bit of luck. You might go through on penalties, or you might have an injury to someone that allows you to win that game. I think Manchester City will look at that and think, wow, with Rodri, they're so much better. That's bad luck that he's got injured. I think we'll look now and say, wow, Saka, Jesus is saying in the chat, yeah, he's now done for the season. So we're looking at that thinking, that's a bit of bad luck. But actually, you need to have a squad. Should you have a squad that doesn't have an adequate cover for Saka? Should Man City have no adequate cover for Rodri? You know, you've got to look at that and think maybe that isn't so bad luck. Maybe we just haven't planned very well for that scenario. So I think there's definitely a kind of I believe that he's not taken us forwards. I also look at what Liverpool are doing, and don't think, wow, Liverpool are so good. I think that's where we should be. Or
Right,
Liverpool
right,
are
right.
doing what they're doing, and Arsenal should be right where Liverpool are doing what they're doing, right? So it's not like we should be Liverpool and Liverpool should be down here. Actually, we should be the ones that are either above or with Liverpool right now when we're miles away from it. And people will say, oh, you're only 6 points, or it's 6 points. They've got a game in hand, and we've got to go to Anfield. That does not look good, you know?
Mm.
So if things go the way that on paper people expect them to go, they'll beat Everton and they'll beat Arsenal at Anfield, and then we're 12 points behind them. Now, if we finish 12 points behind them and trophyless, I don't see how Arteta can keep his job, mate. I really don't.
No, listen. I agree with you. And look, at the start of the season, Dan, you know my opinion on Arsenal. I've always said you're a really good team, but I've never thought that you're good enough to kick on past Man City. However, beginning of the season, I said I thought City would win the league. I, like many, I'm guessing anybody that said they imagined this massive drop off from City is probably lying to themselves a little bit. But I truly imagined that if it was City to drop off like they have, that it would be you guys doing what Liverpool are doing now. Because I think Liverpool are a good team. I
Yeah,
don't watch Liverpool and think, oh my God, they're this
same.
all-conquering, unbeatable team with world-class players everywhere. But it just feels like from watching Arsenal, I've gone from watching Arsenal a couple of years back going, God, they play really good football. They look frightening to I'm not sure what I'm going to get from Arsenal week in, week out. Now, Dan, one of the funny things yesterday, one of the Spurs YouTubers said to me, I'm not going to name names unless he's watching, comes in the chats and takes credit for it, because I don't want to mug him off if he doesn't want to know people to know this. He turned around and said to me, Tottenham, he said, Spurs are Arsenal light. And he said, if you actually look at Spurs and Arsenal, we're exactly the same as them on a bigger stage, and we're them without the trophies. And he said, everything you look at, the stadium build, right? Trusting processes, not actually getting over the line, right? Never actually going out and buying the top quality players you need to kick on when you're in a position to. So, i.e., when we were with Poch, and we had that really good team that I think everyone, even if they hated us, respected, you're thinking, go and buy 2 or 3 and really win that league. Nope. Same with you guys. Second 2 years in a row. Where's your Gyökeres? Where's your Isak? Do you know what I mean? So do you think there's any merit in that as much as we are rivals and don't like each other, that we're actually quite similar, but you guys are, I don't mind admitting it, you guys are there, we are here, and that's the way it's been all through the Premier League era, if we're brutally honest.
I think there's certain similarities for sure. I think what the biggest similarity is that we're starting to turn into Tottenham in terms of getting the team to fail every hurdle across the line. We can't seem to get this team to win trophies. So I can see why people might think that we're turning a little bit Spursy. I also think by going 21 years without a Premier League trophy, over 30 without both a League Cup or a European trophy, and then, of course, 5 now without an FA Cup, that we're starting to be told that this is a bit of a bottling club and that this is a bit of a bottling team, and that's certainly got
Right.
similarities to Spurs. The other thing I think is actually a genuine similarity is I don't think Arteta has done much different than what Poch has done at Tottenham. So what I mean by that is we've got quite close a couple of times. Pochettino got
Yeah.
quite close with his team, which you're right, was a very respectful team. I
Yeah.
think what Pochettino did, the reason I will put that ahead of what Arteta's done is because he didn't have 800 million to spend and 5 years of patience. I think what he put together was a squad that was absolutely superb, but actually didn't have much spent on it. And I think the board and ownership were quite similar at the time, not to back him in terms of they got to a certain point like the board have now with Arteta and said, we ain't doing anything more, mate. Crack on. Now, the difference with your board and our board is our board actually allowed him to spend 800 million, whereas your board and ownership didn't, right? So there's the difference there. I think, yeah, we've won something and you haven't. I can say that. Mikel Arteta's won at Arsenal and Pochettino didn't at Tottenham. But to get that team that he didn't spend that much money on to a Champions League final and put it in a title race is something that Tottenham fans can only dream of, right? So I think you've got to respect what's happened there. So I think they're the similarities. The other similarity is that it just feels like, and maybe Spurs fans won't like me saying this, but I kind of think it's true. I kind of feel like everything we've done wrong, you've tried to copy to be us. And I don't really know that you should be doing that. Like, I think that we've done stuff and failed, and you've done, we want a bit of that. Let's go and have our stadium. Let's go and put ourselves into a position where we're like, and I'm like, what are you doing? Learn from us what didn't go right. Don't copy it. Do the opposite, right?
Do you know? Do you know the funny thing is, Dan, is if one more person says to me, like everyone knows, I'm not a fan of Ange Postecoglou. I think everyone knows I'm not a fan. I think he's one of the worst managers I've ever seen. I'm not going to go deep into that because people will get annoyed at me because they love him. He's their big cuddly manager. They love him. What makes me laugh is you guys and your manager specifically are always used as the rebuttal to me to why I should be patient with Ange. It's but look at Arteta in his first 2 seasons, right? 5 years later, right? What am I waiting for? I don't know why Arteta is the benchmark, but
Totally agree.
you're right. And I wanted to bring up some of the spendings of both clubs and a few things. But what I would say is, by the way, it was Perchy, and he has messaged me. Perchy, I knew he was watching, has WhatsApped me to say, yeah, you can say it. Perchy said to me, yeah, we are Arsenal light. We are doing everything you did on a lesser scale and thinking that we're going to be a great club and we're going to win loads and loads of trophies. And unfortunately, I think Man City in the past have shown, Liverpool have shown, you have to go out and buy the big guns. Yeah. Liverpool were a good team. How did they get over the line? They went and bought Virgil van Dijk. They went and bought Alisson. They went and bought Mo Salah. At the time, they bought Fabinho in central midfield. It's all well and good, this notion, Dan, for me, that people think you're going to build a team and it's going to challenge without any superstars. When was the last time, and I know everyone's always going to throw at me Leicester City, but other than Leicester City, which team wins the Premier League and doesn't go out there and buy top footballers? It's a pipe dream, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah, listen, the Leicester season people will say is a fluke, and maybe it was a fluke, but I look at that and I just think, I still can't believe that's happened. I mean, someone sent something in my WhatsApp chat the other day, right, and said that when you look at what Leicester did at 5,000 to 1 to win the Premier League, Gemma Collins is 5,000 to 1 to be the next James Bond. That's how crazy, right? What Leicester did. When Leicester won in the league, that is how mad it was, right? So we were here to see it. Look, I mean, I did actually question whether Forest could do a madness this season and go and do what Leicester did. But I think we've just got to realise what they actually did, because they've actually spent unbelievable amounts of money, Forest, where Leicester didn't spend anything. I think it was 45 million for the whole of their squad. And I think they spent that on Morgan Gibbs-White, didn't they, Forest? So I think when you look at what Leicester did, it is absolutely outstanding. But you're right. I don't know any Premier League team that hasn't won the title without an elite goalkeeper, which is why Chelsea won't win the league, right? I don't know another Premier League side that doesn't have an elite level captain like the Roy Keanes, Patrick Vieira's, Vincent Kompany's of this world. And I don't know another team that's won the Premier League without a centre forward that literally is their go-to or their moments player. Even Leicester with Jamie Vardy and Mahrez, to be fair, have that. So I don't know that Arsenal have got those things. I don't know that we have a captain in that ilk, and I don't know that we have a striker in that ilk. Big up to Wolfie, but I just feel
God, he's unbearable, Dad. What do you know? What the romantic side of me, from a football perspective, says love Forest to win it. I can't, purely because of Wolfie. This guy cannot be on YouTube winning a league title. I know he's sitting there pissing himself laughing. But Dan, you're right. You're right. When you look at the teams that have won titles, they've got that colossal centre half that leads. They've got captains. Even people might mock it. Henderson at Liverpool. Yeah. Again, no one's going to sit there and tell me Jordan Henderson's the best midfielder they've ever seen. But he's the ultimate pro. Always fit. Did his job. Gave everything every game. The others around him respected him.
Mentality as well. Yeah,
absolutely. But the better footballers respected him. The Van Dijks, the Salahs, they all looked at him and was like, that's our leader. I don't look at Arsenal and see that. I genuinely don't. And that's why I've said for years, Dan, and people always have a pop at me. It's what I've said for years. This is why I always think Man City have had the kind of stronghold on the league. They had Kompany leading them. Yeah, they had Aguero up front. You know, they had Gundogan leading them. They've got Haaland up front. You know, all right, this year, slightly different. But I still think Liverpool now are the only team other than City that have that. They've got Virgil van Dijk. He's a monster. He's been there. He's seen it. He's done it. They've got that leadership from Virgil van Dijk, from Mo Salah, from Trent Alexander-Arnold and Alisson. People that have been there, seen it, done it, and won things. And that, for me, is why when people say to me about Spurs, it's a youth project. That's great. If you're not putting the big wheels to go with the little wheels, That cog's going to move slowly, but it's never going to move at full tilt and win things. That's only my opinion on football.
You're right about the captaincy thing as well, because I've always said that, like, let's just take a fantastic footballer like a Paul Pogba or a Mesut Ozil that up there are a bit like, not sure about you, but there's no doubting you've got talent. If you put the mentality of a James Milner or a Jordan Henderson in front of Paul Pogba or Ozil, they could have been unbelievable. If you look at what both of them have achieved in the game, and you look at what both of them have actually done with the ball at their feet, you think they're absolutely masterclass, right? But you look at it and you think it ain't worked because mentality is completely in the bin, and I wouldn't want it at my club. I wouldn't want either of them back at my club, right? So I look at those kind of players and I think, look at the mentality of a Milner and a Henderson. I'd rather have what they've done in the game than I would the other two. So that's the way I look at it, man. So yeah, you're absolutely bang on.
Well, let's look, because I wanted to have a little chat with you about Odegaard. So look, let's segue into that. When you look at both our club captains at the moment, I think both sets of fans are having the same. Again, there's so many similarities. Just we're 12th. We've both got 2 in our league position, except yours is 10 more than us. You've got Odegaard as your captain, Son as our captain. A lot of our fans constantly have this conversation of, Sonny's been a great player. I mean, he's not at the moment. He's kind of going a little bit. I'm not saying he can't still score goals, but we've got Son, you've got Odegaard. Are they, in your eyes, Dan, are they leaders? They're both fantastic footballers. I'm going to ask you about Odegaard in a minute, but are they both captains that you go, that's the guy? When things are going bad, those two are going to get everyone on the pitch and be like, wait, come on, let's sort this out. Odegaard, leader, captain?
So look, I'm quite old school with this one. Not a lot of people like me saying this because I'm a bit old school and I'm a lot older than some of the new generation. The captain of the club has completely changed in the last decade, in my opinion. If you look at the captains even of 2-3 decades ago to comparison to what the last decades have been, it's complete and utter change. It's not about barking orders. It's not about grabbing hold of people by the scruff of the neck. It's not about being that guy that you wouldn't want to mess with. It's not about that guy who's got the mentality to be the best player on the pitch every single game. There's no more Roy Keanes in the game. There's no more Patrick Vieiras. I'm probably going to say it. There's no more Vincent Kompany's, if I'm honest. It's all about now leading by example and being the role model on the pitch and being the one that everybody loves and being the one that you want to be. And I think Son and Odegaard epitomise that. Look, Son's played an unbelievable amount of games in the last decade and he's definitely showing signs of decline as a footballer. I don't think there's any surprise about that at the age that he is now, right? And I think Son, for me now, is a player that you bring on in the last 20, 25 minutes for a little bit of pace up top and a bit of finishing. I don't think you start him on the left anymore.
Agreed.
Maybe you don't start him up top. I don't know. But I think that's what he is now. I think he's that player. I think he's got to that era. As for Martin Odegaard, and just quickly on Son, very quickly, I think Son is loved by everybody at the club and it's the easy option. I don't think he's one that you look at and think, I don't think you look at Son and go, yeah, you respect him because whatever he says goes. He's the one who barks orders. You wouldn't want to mess with him. He's the one who gets us by the scruff of the neck. That ain't Son for me, just the outside looking in. And it's certainly not Martin Odegaard. Look, I don't think we've got many. I think maybe Gabriel is the only one that Arsenal have got that does that on the pitch, that's quite vocal, mentally quite strong, barks orders. I think he's been phenomenal in the last 3 years as well, Gabriel. I actually think he's been our best defender ahead of Saliba. So I look at it now and I think that is not what anybody wants in the modern game. And they do not want the winning mentality, the professionalism, the barking orders, the one you don't mess with, the leader on the pitch, one you go to. They want somebody to lead by example, and that's what Martin Odegaard does. He leads by the press. He gets the fans up. He talks to players in a calm manner. He looks to be the guy that Mikel Arteta is asking to spend the messages to. He looks a well-respected person and player as a footballer, not as a, I'm going to do what Martin says because he might give me a whack. Because trust me, that's what would happen with Patrick Vieira and Roy Keane. You know, they would have taken you down the tunnel and give you a hiding. It doesn't work like that anymore with football. It doesn't. And that's why I think both of my captains are different now. It's so soft. It's so soft, mate. I hate it.
I remember last year there was a video of Vicario was shouting at one of our young kids who didn't mark properly. And people are going, "Oh, that's no good for his mentality and his mental health." Hang on, what? Hang on, what? Professional footballer gets shouted at by their goalkeeper for not defending properly. Yes. Yes. That's what I expect. What, you think Peter Schmeichel would have shouted at Ince but wouldn't shout at an 18-year-old Gary Neville or an 18-year-old David Beckham? Like, it's all gone very, very soft. There's a lot of it. I think we're into an era, Dan. People don't like me saying it. I think we're into a massive era of excuses. We are in an era now where everything is fluffy, everything is nice.
100%.
Every time you lose a game, our fan base, I'll say it, loads of my fan base will hate me for saying it. The excuses when we lose are just,
Same.
it's
Same.
embarrassing.
Same.
Oh, but we only
Listen,
lost
we're
by
the
one
same.
goal. So whether you lose by 1 goal or 3 goals, you've lost the game. Call me old school. I've got people messaging me, Dan, right, going, I don't care about the league position, Savva. I can see improvements. And I'm like, based on what? And we're soft. Everything is soft. There's no standards anymore for me. I'm like you. I want a captain that when things are going wrong on the pitch, right? Like, i.e., when Spurs are 3-1 down to Liverpool at half-time at our own ground, I want a captain that's going to get everyone on the pitch before that next kickoff. I don't care if the ref tells them off, grabs them all and go, oi, what is going on here? Stop, sit back, sit in, man mark. Don't give anything away for 10 minutes. Everything's nice now. Oh, they do this, don't they? I see your guy does it a lot. Come on, fans.
Oh, mate.
It's not leadership. It's not accountability. It's not captain material. Look, I just want to ask you before we move on to the game and a few bits. Martin Odegaard. When I watch, funny enough, Dan, I don't actually watch a lot of Spurs YouTube channels. If I go into a Spurs YouTube channel comment section, I normally get abused. If it's not one of the channels that I align with, i.e., if I go into Tottenham away, I'm fine. If I go into another one, I won't mention names. If I go into 3 or 4 different ones, I'm just abused immediately. So I watch a lot of your channel. I watch a League Gunner and all this sort of stuff. What I'm noticing is there seems to be a massive divide in your fan base about how good Martin Odegaard actually is as a footballer. And some people are calling him, somebody's put in the chat there, the ghost. What do you make of Martin Odegaard? For me, I've always thought he's a good footballer. I don't know if he's there, but I've always thought he's a good footballer. Is he not? Is he?
Oh, he's a really good footballer, mate. Yeah, no, he's a great footballer. He is. If you want technical ability, if you want to wait a pass, if you want the press, if you want the guy who looks to make something happen and create, then he's a good player, right? What I will say is I think he's overrated by a lot of our fan base. But I think that a lot of our players are, if I'm honest. Maybe it happens in every fan base. I recognise it more as an Arsenal fan. You see a good player and then they hype him up to the hill, and all of a sudden they have to be compared to Ronaldo or Messi, or they have to be the next Thierry Henry coming through, or they have to be. Yeah. If I'm honest with you, Sav, I don't think any of those players will be replicated again. I don't think there ever will be another Thierry Henry or a Ronaldo or a Messi, in my opinion. So I think with Martin Odegaard, young fans will think he's the best player they've ever seen. And rightly so, he probably is in that position, right? In my opinion, growing up, he's nowhere near the level of Paul Merson. He's nowhere near the level of Dennis Bergkamp. He's nowhere near the level of Mesut Ozil, if I'm honest. I prefer Odegaard to Ozil because up there, Odegaard's actually got something, whereas Ozil was just lost, right? But in terms of technical ability, Ozil leaves him dead in the water, right? And that's why he's the assist king. And Martin Odegaard's got 26 assists in his career at Arsenal, which actually is not great when you think that, some players at the moment like Salah are putting in that in a season nearly, So I think look at what Odegaard is doing, and there's great things that I like about him. There's also things that I think he can improve upon. And a lot of people like me saying this, but I don't see him as a number 10. I see him more as a kind of deep line attacking 8, where he's more of a Bernardo Silva as opposed to a Kevin De Bruyne. I think we need the Kevin De Bruyne. I think we might have the Bernardo Silva. I still don't think he's as good as Bernardo Silva, but you get what I'm saying. In terms of Odegaard's position and attributes, I actually think he's more of an attacking 8, and I think the 10 needs to be somebody in the mould of, Florian Wirtz or maybe Musiala or someone in a dream world, right? Not that I think Arsenal will get either of those at the moment, but that's the way I see it. Whereas I think with Mikel Arteta, he sees Odegaard as the actual creator, and he's trying to build around that. So that's my genuine thoughts on it. I don't think he's a bad captain. I'm not going to sit there and say that he's not my cup of tea as a captain, but that's me. And football is perhaps changing, and I'm a bit old-fashioned now and a bit old school. So, but I do rate him. I do think he's a good player. I know Lee Gunner doesn't rate him, and that's fine. And Lee's seen those players I mentioned previously, like Merce and Bergkamp, and even like Arshavin and Nasri and Rosicky on the ball were probably better than Martin Odegaard, right? But because people forget those, and it's recency bias, they look at Martin Odegaard and think, no one's better than him. He's unbelievable. He's by far the best player we've had at the club. You do it in your Spurs fan base. I've seen it and I've heard it, So it's exactly the same.
last week I was told that Kulusevski was better than David Ginola. I mean, let that sink in, Dan. I mean, yeah. This is what you deal with. I'm told that someone said to me last season that Bentancur's like Gaza, but unfortunately has injuries, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, whoa,
What is happening?
Stop.
They clearly haven't watched these players, though, have they? They clearly never watched Ginola and Gaza. Because if you had eyes, you wouldn't go even make that statement. Like Ginola, by the way, was one of the most unbelievable footballers. He'd probably get into a 1-11 of mine in Spurs, if I'm honest.
Mate,
real talk.
I've not seen anyone like him. I've not seen a footballer like Ginola at Spurs since. Bale, class.
Yeah,
but a very different player to David Ginola, right?
They'd probably be the two you'd put either side, to be fair, Bale and Ginola.
Mate, I wouldn't care who the other 9 were. If you had Ginola on one side and Bale on the other, I wouldn't care who we were. I'd play in a low block and just say, right, give the ball to Bale and Ginola and let them do the rest. But that's where we're at. We've got fans now that haven't seen some of these passes, and that's fine. Yep. I've got no doubt, but that's why I think fans like you get frustrated with Arsenal. Like I see Lee Gunner gets frustrated because he wants, he often refers to it, doesn't he? He says, "Look at the players in my background, Henry, Bergkamp, Vieira," and then you've got fans going, "Oh, but Odegaard, but Rice, but Partey." It's like good players, but they're nowhere near the caliber of what you're used to. Look, I want to just quickly talk. I do want to talk about before we move on to the game. You know what? As I said earlier, when Turkish did that rant, I thought it was, by the way, big up to Turkish, and he was so good to me and helped me. So big up Turkish. He bought me a cup of tea once, so I can't knock that. Whether he expensed it to AFTV or not, I don't know. But he bought me a cup of tea, so we can't complain. So Turkish did a rant the other day, and what I loved about his rant was, if you close your eyes and just listen to the rant, yes, it's about Arsenal, but for me, it just felt like he was ranting about Spurs on my behalf as well, if that makes sense. He talked so much about the cost of tickets, right? He talked so much about fans versus customers. He talked about how there's so many fans that just settle for failure and find excuses like XG and this and field tilt and, all of this. And he said, that's the difference between the fans and the customers. He said, now we used to be football fans. It used to be my team's doing poorly, expect better. Now it's just a lot of people going, oh, but let's have 5 years and let's do this. And it's a project and it's a process. And he was absolutely bang on when he did. I mean, for me, he was, Dan. What did you make of the rant? I'm sure you've seen it.
Well, listen, it was right in front of me live. I went on after it. So it
I forget that you're famous. Sorry, I forget that you're famous.
No, I'm not. I'm not famous by any means. But look, he's very similar to me, Turkish. We get on. He's coming on my channel at 12 today, funnily enough. So we'll be over there with him having a rant about it together. Look, I'm a big fan of him. He's one of my favourites. One of my favourite people. So I'm going to be biased about everything that he says, right? But I honestly believe that he is one of the fans that not only I can relate to, and it seems weird saying about a friend, but I've always watched and respected Turkish and thought, you're saying everything that I should be saying here and that I now can't say because you've said it. So I've got to then go on after him and be like, what he said. And that's exactly what I kind of did, and I thought this could be the easiest, quickest fan cam ever, which is why I kind of went into the Cronkies and the ownership a little bit more and sort of said, look, show some ambition, show some balls. What are we doing? And everything he said about the fan base, everything he said about the ownership, everything he said about the style of play, everything he said about the PR spin, and everything he said about that tunnel with that North Banksy guy who's painting stuff, that is absolutely spot on. Every time I go past that tunnel, there is one picture I respect, and that is Super Kevin Campbell, because as you know, I was very close to him before he passed. That is the only player I know when I walk past that I look at, because yes, there's Righty on there, and I think that's fair, but where's Rocky? Where's Pires? Where's Henry? Where's Bergkamp? Where's Vieira? Where's Campbell?
Rocastle, by the way.
Where is Rocky? Like, where are these guys? Because I look at it and I think, right, there's Kai Havertz and his dog. There's Win the dog. There's Josh Kroenke. There's our set piece coach. There's Mikel Arteta. Yeah. There's the Saka and Smith Rowe song. Who Smith Rowe's gone now, by the way. There's El Neni's on there. Is he actually? Everyone laughs. He's the only one who's won saying Arsenal, by the way, that's on there painted on the wall. So I look at it and I think this is not right. This is a fan base that have gone, I'm buying into this. Let's get all these on the wall. Let's
Yeah.
bring this era of Arsenal up. Let's bring this regime together. Hang on a minute. Do these people deserve to have paintings and murals on the bloody wall when they haven't done anything at this club? Does this ownership deserve to have a painting on the wall when you walk past it? Because in 21 years, mate, we've won 5 FA Cups, which are the club a size of West Ham is incredible, right? Or Newcastle. They would take that any day of the week.
We'll have it.
Even Tottenham, right?
I'll
Even
take
Tottenham.
half of them, Dan. I'll take half those FA Cup wins if that's all right.
Even Spurs, right? So the club the size of Arsenal that has got a history of winning, that has spent unbelievable amounts of money, should not be picking up 5 FA Cups in 21 years. That's not what should happen at Arsenal Football Club, in my opinion. I grew up winning, I was spoiled, and people look at me and point at me and go, oh, you're just a moaner. You just want to win, and if you don't win, you throw your toys out the pram. No. I'm absolutely fine if you go for a league title and you pick up silverware along the way, which is why you should be challenging and winning trophies. Otherwise, Ten Hag would still be here because he won the trophies, he just didn't challenge for the league. So that is what it is about for me. It's about doing both. And I look at what Turkish said and I thought it was spot on, man.
No, absolutely. Listen, at the end of the day, I think every creator's doing their own thing. But what I've always liked about Turkish, and before we make this a loving for Turkish, is I always felt that he's been fair when talking. You know, there are certain people that fly off the handle about that. I always feel like he's really fair when talking. By the way, rest in peace to both David Rocastle and Kevin Campbell. David Rocastle, by the way, never ever gets talked about enough when we're talking about top players. He was unbelievable. What a winger. What a winger David Rocastle was, a really talented footballer. And Kevin Campbell was, everyone had a Kevin Campbell type back in the early days of the Premier League. A proper old school centre forward, bustling, got goals, good in the air, hold the ball up, almost like a foil for the player that played with him. Yeah, good player as well. And rest in peace to him as well. Look, Dan, I think the key thing is when I look at this, I'm always, you know me, right? I'm always called toxic and negative, right? From my own fan base. And the reason I'm called toxic and negative is because when Spurs do things like go and buy 5, 6, 7, 18-year-olds in a year, and I'm going, oh, what are we doing? And people are going, oh, but project process, have patience. It's all going to be fine. You're not a real fan. Have, trust. I'm sitting there going, this is great, but when are we going to act like a big club? Why should I be impressed by signing loads of kids that everyone thinks are going to be amazing in 5 years? And then what happens is, to justify people's positions, Dan, what they do is, and I'm sure you've got the same in your club, is when Archie Gray has a good game, we don't just say, did well the 18-year-old there. We elevate him to, do you know what? I think Real Madrid could buy him. And you're like, whoa. Somebody the other day, Bergvall, had a good game against Liverpool in the Cup. And it was people going, Bergvall is Gerrard-esque. And you're like, whoa, let's stop putting kids on a pedestal after they've had 3 or 4 starts for a club. And this is the difference. I'm very much, people go, oh, you're like Lee Gunner light. Well, what? Because I want some accountability. I want some standards at my football club. Well, I don't want to go and sign Timo Werner. Oh, you're a bad fan. You just want to moan about everything. Well, I will moan about anything until Spurs actually show me that they're interested. Now, I want to move that to your club. And there's a couple of things, just really, really quickly. Big up to Rodney Roberts. Thank you so much, Rodney. I said, Rodney, question. He said, sorry, morning, guys. Can you both remember a time where your fan base was united all together and when they fell apart? Mine's simple, Dan. Mine would be under Pochettino, when we were flying, when we were going into games thinking, I don't care if we're playing Man U, Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Chelsea. We've got a good team and a good manager that adapts. And that for me was mine. You got a time for you with Arsenal? You're on mute, by the way.
Sorry, brother. There's been 2 times, I think, when we've been united. The first one was when we were invincible. I was very young. I was only 16, 17 years old. And it seems mad to think that I'm 37 now and still haven't seen a title since. But that was when we were united as a fan base and everyone was happy. The obvious one as well when we were united was the European Super League, when we protested outside the stadium. I think that's the absolute obvious one. In terms of when it's fallen apart, I think the Wenger in and out stuff, I think that was quite embarrassing when you look back now. There was, a fan base is marching down Hornsey Road to get him out. where he was more successful in that last 5 years of his Arsenal career than Arteta has been in his first 5 years. But everyone seems to want to keep this manager now. Whereas when we come second to Leicester, we wanted the guy out. We were marching down Hornsey Road with banners and stuff and flying planes over the stadium. Well, now we've come second twice, but because it's to Pep, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Very bizarre.
Yeah.
Very bizarre fan base.
Yeah, I find it as well. And I'm a bit bored of being told that I'm not a real fan because I don't think being 12th in the league is good enough. I mean, I've got some fans. There's some that I know they'll be watching right now. They constantly come in and tell me, Dan, that you're just looking for the negative and you're skewing the stats. And Dan, as I sent you yesterday, didn't I? I sent you that WhatsApp that showed you the points per game and that he's the worst for 27 years. And people still go, yeah, but you can see we're getting better. And I'm like, no, no, you can't. If we were getting better, we wouldn't be 12th in the table. Thank you so much, Rodney, to that. By the way, Ben, thank you very much. The Mod Father. Ben is known as the Mod Father. Putting in the link to Dan's channel. Please go and subscribe to Dan. He's got some superb panel shows going on over there as well, and really good content creator. Please do subscribe to me. We're 5 away still from 15.5k, and really poor 360 people and no subscribers. And please do smash the like button. We're on 97, which is an absolute travesty. Kind of Timo Werner, Richarlison hit rates there. We should be doing better. Dan, I saw this, a couple of things I wanted to show you. Oh, by the way, D&B Forever always puts in his 99p super sticker. Love you, dude. Always does. Over the year, it adds up. Love you, man. Thank you very much. And big up, Rodney. Thank you very much, my friend. I really appreciate you. Saw this this morning. Was first one. Thought this was quite interesting. Oh, no. There we go. There it is. Quite interesting. Money spent by the top 6. Let me remove my banner so we can all see who's 6th. Money spent by the top 6 since Arteta took charge. Now, I knew you guys had spent a lot, but I'm actually embarrassed that we're sitting 12th in the table and we've spent £869 million. But look, Arteta's had, forget Spurs for a minute, Arteta's had nearly £800 million. You don't really have a centre forward. You don't have centre forward options. You're light at fullback. What's going on? Is this why there are a lot of fans that have come to the end of the Arteta road?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, when you spend that much money, you expect your squad to look quite competitive. I think it's a lot of money. A lot of people will say it's not in this day and age because every player is £100 million. I would quite understand it if someone would have said you spent 800 million players on these 8 players. I would probably go, yeah, wow. I mean, we should be doing something now. We've got 8 elite level players. We've spent that much money on 31 players, right? Now, that is enough to know what your first 11 is. We are still very, very short in a number of positions. We still don't have proper cover for Saliba. We still don't really know who our left back is. We don't have a replacement or upgrade on Granit Xhaka yet. We certainly don't have any cover whatsoever for Bukayo Saka, as we've seen now. We still don't have an elite level number 9. And there's question marks over who plays at the left wing. Is it Trossard or Martinelli? Are either of them good enough? So when you've got 5 years, £800 million spent, and you're at that stage, there's definite questions asked. As for Postecoglou, to compare it, he spent half of what Mikel Arteta has spent, right? Or nearly as much as, in less time. So when you look at what Postecoglou's actually been provided with by the board and the ownership, whether it's their money or whether they've been allowing it to go ahead, whatever, because there's always a big difference there as well, by the way. With the with what he's had to spend, I can't believe some of the signings have been that much money. I can't believe over the years, and this is not just Postecoglou, Spurs' top signings, if you look at them, the amount of money you've spent on them, it is unbelievable. Ndombele, Davinson Sanchez, players like Richarlison, Brennan Johnson, 50 odd million. Who the hell said that was a good signing? And this is the problem I've got with it, you know. And I look at some of them and I think fair play. You know, Kulusevski's a good player. I actually do rate him. I don't rate him anywhere near the level of Ginola, but I think he is a top player. And I think he's been probably your best player this season, right? So there's been some good signings. Even 65 million for Solanke. Like, I look at that and I think, look at what Osimhen and Gyökeres can go for now. They're going for that, like, so it's a hell of a lot of money. So I just think that we have spent a hell of a lot of money. There's no more excuses for Arteta and Postecoglou having not being backed, or he needs more money, or look at this team. I understand there's injury problems, and I look at Spurs and I think, yeah, fair play. You've got injuries at the back, but you've spent an unbelievable amount of money and the team doesn't really look that great.
Yeah, it's madness, isn't it? I mean, both clubs have spent a hell of a lot of money. By the way, breaking news story is that no Premier League clubs have been charged with profit and sustainability breaches for the 3-year period between 2021 and 2024. So it looks like, by the way, before people get that wrong, it doesn't mean that people can't be charged for previous eras, but from 2021 to 2024, which is the 3-year rolling cycle period of PSR, nobody has been charged in the Premier League. Dan, yeah, look, I just thought when I saw that this morning, I was just like, wow. Obviously, the first thing I look at is from a Spurs point of view. And look, Chelsea are out there in a world of their own, right? Chelsea are out there in a world of their own. Man United, again, isn't it funny? Man United, Tottenham and Arsenal and Chelsea, you would say, have been in a bit of a mess, those 4 clubs, for the last 2-3 years. Maybe not you guys being in a mess, but not winning. And then Man City and Liverpool had kind of already done their business, hadn't they? They'd done their business. They got themselves into a position where actually they don't need overhauls. Every window they just go, here's 1, here's 2, there's 1, there's and now Man City are going to have to change that.
That's the kind of saddening fact, is that Chelsea, Arsenal, and Spurs and Man United there have all been trying to spend that money. That's catch-up money, and we haven't caught up.
Yeah.
So when you look at Man City and Liverpool and what they've done in the last 5 to 10 years, you think, wow, I'd love what they've got. How much have they spent? Oh, nothing. We spent twice as much as them, and we ain't got nowhere near them. It's crazy.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. By the way, the person in my chat who said, I've seen enough from this manager to suggest we can make the club great again. I don't know what you're seeing. I'm seeing 12th in the Premier League table, mate. Dan, this was this morning from David Ornstein. He said that Gabriel Jesus set for long spell out with suspected ACL rupture. Arsenal open to doing business. Overseas loans seem most likely route for Arsenal. Everyone in my Spurs WhatsApp groups are saying Mawani. Looks like Arsenal would join the race for Mawani. Where are you at? Who's coming in? What should you be looking at? And is it disappointing if a club the size of Arsenal, who are in a title race, only get a loan?
Of course it is, mate. Yeah, of course it is. Look, we had a disappointing summer. Only signing Neto, Sterling, Marino and Calafiori was enough to tell me that we weren't serious about this season. I said we wouldn't win the league. Funnily enough, I didn't think we'd be this far off, but I thought that we wouldn't win the league. Then I look at what's happening with the scenario of our injuries, Saka and Jesus both being out for the season. We have to react. Now, what should happen is we should go up to Sporting Lisbon and say, we'll release the clause of Gyökeres. We'll go up to Atletico Bilbao and say, we'll release the clause of Nico Williams. If you don't want those two, you release the clause of Osimhen and Lookman. There's players out there. There's Premier League players out there. Brian Mbeumo, Cunha, Semenyo. Yeah. These are players that would be very, very good signings for Arsenal. Yeah. And unfortunately, we are not linked with them. We'll probably end up with Rashford and Evan Ferguson on loan or something like that. That's what we do. We are just that kind of club at the moment. Colin Mawani, I know that we were linked. I don't know if that's going to happen. So, yeah, not too sure what we're going to do. David Ornstein says it might be an overseas loan. No idea, mate, but it's not good enough.
I mean, would you? I mean, because look, we have asked Juve. It's official that we've asked Juve about. No, we haven't. That's a complete lie. He doesn't play for Juventus. The Spurs and Juve have asked PSG about Mawani, but apparently a lot of it is about Juventus will only do the deal if there's, I believe, if there's an obligation to buy wrapped into it, which is always difficult, Dan, right? Because if you're going to go and get a player like Mawani, who's not had a good 2 years at PSG, our team's going to turn around and go, well, yeah, we'll put an obligation to buy of 50 million on him when you don't know that he's the right man. Is he going to recapture the form from a couple of years ago? Do you think that's why a deal hasn't been done yet? He's available. 14 days of the window has gone. No one's taken him. No one's got it over the line. Do you think that's why?
Yeah, I always look at players that are supposedly hyped up and then no one goes for them. I always remember the Osimhen thing in the summer. I thought was bizarre that he ended up at Galatasaray. Why is that? There's always some issues around why people don't go for him or why players don't go. I think the Ivan Toney one is another bizarre one. How no one went for him. There's got to be something that we don't know, that we don't see, that other teams do. So I think that's where I'm at with those sort of deals. I don't know that Colin Mawani would take Spurs or Arsenal to that next level anyway, if I'm honest. I
Yeah.
think he's a good player, but I don't look at him and think that would be any better than Brian Mbeumo from Brentford, or João Pedro from Brighton, or Semenyo from Bournemouth. I wouldn't look at Colin Mawani and say elite level. Like Premier League proven players for me are very, very underappreciated and underrated. So I understand it's a level and it's a step up, but it would still be a step up for Colin Mawani from Arsenal, if I'm honest with you, because I know PSG are a great club, but at the moment they're an absolute nightmare. If I'm honest, they're not playing well.
For sure.
So
it's
it would be.
It's a pointless league, isn't it? It's a pointless league, Dan. Like I know people say don't knock other leagues, but I mean, already aren't they something like 12 points clear? And and it's not even the era of Neymar's and Messi's and Mbappe's anymore, but they're still flying in that league. Can I just ask? I know you've only got a few minutes left, Dan. I don't know how long we've got you for, but I know it's not long. I want to ask you about we've got to cover the North London derby. We've got to. Listen, both clubs are going into this. It's strange. Both clubs have got injuries. I'm not a fan of making injuries an excuse. I think you've got a 25-man squad. You've put it together. This is what both clubs decided was good enough in the summer. You go with it. What are you expecting? You've lost your last 2 games at home, but both in cup competitions. You've not lost in 10. We've not won in the league, it feels like, for about 5 years. It feels like that long since we won a league game. What are you expecting from tomorrow night's game?
I'm expecting the stinkiest, most pathetic and boring North London derby I've seen in history, if I'm honest. I think it will be a stinky 1-1 draw. Both clubs will just want to get the hell out of there. It will be like going to the dentist. I think Martin Keown said that yesterday, which was what was the Manchester United performance. Arsenal this season have been very, very boring and unentertaining, Savva, and I'm expecting exactly the same. Now, I will say this. If Ange Postecoglou goes there and sets up the way that I've seen him, I think he should be sacked in the morning if they lose. And I'll tell you why. If there is not a blueprint of how to play Arsenal evident to this man through Everton, through Fulham, through Ipswich, through United, through everyone that's played us pretty much this season and either drew or taken something from us, I don't know how more clear it can be for how Tottenham to play. If Tottenham come out and blitz, Arteta will be like, oh, finally, a team that's come out trying to play football, let's go beat them. So I think that if you come out and play your football, there's still a chance of you for beat us because we're that bad at the moment. However, I do think there's more of a chance of you sitting in, trying to dig deep and trying to win the game by 1 or 2-0 because I do think that you've got more of a chance of that. And that's the blueprint to play Arsenal right now. And we haven't been able to get past teams. So that's what I'm expecting Ange Postecoglou to do. I don't think he will because I don't think he's ever done that. His plan A is just plan A, and we'll try and make plan A better. And he doesn't make plan A better. And that's what I expect Postecoglou to do. So, look, I'm going to go 1-1 because I do feel like both teams are just not in a good place at the moment. But there's no shock would be if Tottenham win this game because this is how bad Arsenal are at the moment.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I've said that I think it's going to be a Desmond. I'm going for 2-2 in this game. But I make you 100% right. We watch managers set up against certain teams, and you know that what Arsenal don't want, they don't want something they've got to break down. You've not got the guile at the moment, you've not got the guile or the match winners that can give you that individual moment of magic to get you over the line. But that's not how Ange Postecoglou plays. And this is where I feel like if he goes to your ground, doesn't do what we just saw Amorim do, doesn't do, as you said, what we saw Sean Dyche do, doesn't do what we saw Newcastle do in the second half to you. If he doesn't do that and you beat us convincingly, I don't know what else will have to open the eyes of the Spurs fans to see that our manager isn't tactically astute. However, let's see what he does. We'll see what he does. I don't think he's capable of changing, Dan. What I see is when he's forced to change, he changes. And what I mean by that is when we're playing Man City, who have all the football. That's the very difference between our game plan is to sit in, or Man City have dictated that you sit in. I want to see tomorrow, what does he do? That's what I want to see. Does he do? But if you don't win, last thing, I know you've got to go. I'm going to ask this, and then I'll let you go, mate. By the way, everyone in the chat, I will stick around for a bit. If you don't win, is it title over? And if you do win, is it something that can reignite your title challenge, or are Liverpool champions elect?
It's an interesting time for Arsenal, because I believed that the week that we've just had was probably one of the most important in Mikel Arteta's reign, because we've got 2 cup competitions, which he's desperate to win. He's gone out of pretty much both of them. I know that we're still in the Carabao Cup, but we ain't beating Newcastle 3-0. I don't even think we'll score 2 over there or 1 over there the way we're playing. So that looks like the domestic cups are out for him. It's Premier League, Champions League or bust. The Premier League's difficult, and it is if we do not win this game. I think we have to win the majority of our games for the rest of the season. I don't think we can drop more than 4 more points. Something crazy like that, 4 or 5 more points, I think have to be dropped, and we have to go literally be faultless towards the last end of the season from last year. We have to replicate that form, and I don't think we're going to do that because we're not playing as well. So that's what we have to do. If we lose this game, it's title done, and it's Champions League or bust for Mikel Arteta. We've got Villa after this. We know what we're like with Villa and Emery. We're never really confident we're going to beat them. So it could get worse for Arsenal before it gets better, unfortunately. And don't think that we can't drop out this top 4, by the way, because there's 6 points. Yeah, we're 6 points into the top 4. That's it. That's 2 games. So we lose to Villa and Spurs. If the wrong people start winning games, we're going to be dragged down into a top 6 race, not a top 4 race. So that's how bad it could be and how quickly football can change. So we got to bounce back, mate. We should beat you. I'm not going to lie. But with the team we've got, the team you've got, our team is better than yours. On paper, we're at home. We should beat you. I don't think we're going to. I think it's going to be 1-1, mate. So that could put a lot of pressure on Mikel Arteta for the end of this season. But it will with the fans. I'm not sure it will with the owners. I'll say that lastly, because even if we have a bad season and we get top 4 and we don't win something, the fans will not all want him out. And the amount of fans that do want him out won't be enough for the Cronkies to sack him, because they've still got Champions League football and money. And that's what I will end off, because I think the ownership are essentially the biggest problem, if I'm honest. Similar to Tottenham, I think Levy's the biggest problem and Co are the biggest issue, because they've turned your stadium into a tourist attraction when you're a football club. That's my honest, brutal opinion.
Mate, no one's going to tell you you're wrong on that front. Look, I'm going to leave it there, Dan. What I will say is just so you've got some comfort. If Tottenham do win tomorrow night, we can go to the lofty heights of 11th. We can go to 11th tomorrow. So, and if we don't win, if we draw, right? If we draw, the highest we can, the lowest we can end this week, because there's games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? We could be 14th by Friday morning, and we could be 14th, but level on points with Palace, who could be 15th. Just let that sink in. So when you hear Spurs fans calling me negative and saying that I want Spurs to lose, these are the fans that keep telling me we're doing well. Trust the process. We could be 14th, joint 15th, if you like, come Friday morning. Bad times for Spurs. Look, there are loads of games going on. Dan, thank you so much for your time this morning. I know you're a busy guy. Really appreciate you coming in. Please, mods, put Dan's link in the chat. Please go and subscribe to him. Watch his panel shows there. They're always a good laugh. Who knows? Maybe one day I might get back on there. Dan, take care. Thank you very much. And I normally would say to someone, good luck to your team, but not going to happen for this fixture, my friend. But enjoy the game tomorrow night. And thank you so much, mate. Appreciate it.
Come on, bro. Listen, man, make sure you hit like and subscribe to Savva. Make sure you're all doing that, people. If you do want to come join me at 12 o'clock, I'll be with Turkish. So if you want to come and have a bit of a laugh at Arsenal, then please make sure you do. But big up to everyone. Big up to you, Savva. And I'll see you next time, bro. All right. Big up.
Take care, bro. Thanks so much.
Cheers,
big
mate.
up to Dan Potts there from Football's 12th Man podcast. Big fan of Dan's content, and just a lovely guy as well. We'll stick around for a little bit. Why not? I mean, it depends if any of my usuals are in the chat that fancy coming on. If there's anybody like a Perchy or a Ben K or a Phil P, if any of those guys fancy jumping on, then you're more than welcome. I Cinema, I do love this notion that I'm a negative fan. Honestly, who would have thought that not wanting to see your team lose games every week and be in the bottom half of the table would mean you're negative? And you know the funny thing, Cinema, this is quite funny. Someone messaged when people send in YouTube comments, so not in here, when the show finishes, and people respond to the show, people put comments in. You can see, yeah, Ben, no worries, mate. Ben, jump on. I'll put the link in here. I can't bother to send it via WhatsApp. Feel free to jump on, mate. There we go. The link's there. That's for Ben at the moment. Please, no one else jump on. Please, no one else jump on. The funny thing, cinema for me. So somebody messaged me this morning. Oh, you truly are negative. Blah, blah, blah. You don't understand the rebuild, all of the usual stuff. So I clicked on their name and it shows me all of the messages they've ever sent into my channel. And what's hilarious is this person, their last message to me was in the summer transfer window, the last out of window where they said, you just want these players to be bad. You'll see when we move up that table, you'll see what he does in his second season, blah, blah, blah. My message to them this morning, looks like I was right. And this is what I find hilarious. People forget what they've messaged into us. People forget what they were saying in the summer. So I really, really find it funny. A big up to Dan. Absolutely. Yeah, we were in a thread yesterday together. That comment thread yesterday was wild. That guy just blindly ignoring all the facts because he feels we're better. I can only assume it's PDS. Yeah, look. This is absolutely spot on. So Dan and I were in a thread yesterday in my YouTube comment section. And I had a fan saying to me, I've given you evidence, Savva. You just don't like my evidence. And that person's evidence was feelings. It was a lot of feelings. So I went back and said, right, can I have some factual evidence that we're getting better? This person's response was, I don't care about ladder position, which I think means league table. So I turned around and said, so hang on. So league position isn't a barometer now of how well a team is doing. So points per game, they want to ignore that. League position, we want to ignore that. The number of defeats in the season, we want to ignore that. But we want to go with feelings. And unfortunately, guys, I can't do that. I can't do that. In no other walk of life can I go with feelings to make it better over fact. Yes, I am on Big Up tonight. Hang on, I'm talking of Big Up. Big Up to Ben. That's a lovely hat. We'll come back to you in 1 second, Ben.
Yeah.
I am on Big Up tonight, 7:30. I'm doing mainly Liverpool Forest as a watch along, but I'll obviously all the other Premier League games will have the scores coming in. And by the way, I've got a show later on the week. You're going to love it on Big Up with some real good AI technology that they've pumped some money in. You're going to love it, like Ford Monday Night Football styling. So watch out for that. Ben, you're back from skiing.
Yes.
How was it? Did your
great.
better half put up with you for the week?
Yes,
and
she did.
How are you both?
It was good. Nice to actually get some exercise in for a change. And you saw some of the photos. The weather was absolutely lovely out there. Lovely sunshine, great food, me eating well too much and spending well too much money, as you do when you're out on a slope. The better half did a couple of days of skiing before she hurt herself, but it's fine. It's all part of the rigmarole. But yeah, I was happy with it. I was even happy with my skiing for a change, which is always fun. So I've still got my skiing hat on, or as most people think, the actual me, which is miserable because I'm here about Tottenham again.
Yeah, listen, do you know what? I actually said to somebody yesterday, like I did the collective show last night.
Yeah.
I actually find it more enjoyable nowadays talking about all football rather than just Spurs. And I know Spurs fans don't want to hear that, but I'm struggling, Ben. We've had this chat privately. Yeah. I'm struggling because I feel like there's just no truth anymore when we're talking football. I don't mean me and you.
Yeah.
I struggle when you can look at facts, you can look at evidence, you can say, God, we're doing badly, and people will just go, oh, you're negative. It's like, well, if this is negative, so if we're top of the league, people will be ramming it down my throat, Ben. If we were top of the league. Look. So if we're top of the league, does that mean I can turn around and go, oh, yeah, but the league position doesn't matter. The number of wins don't matter. My feeling is that we're crap. Like, I just don't get it. Anyway, Ben, it's North London Derby week.
Mm.
As Dan said, it's a bit of a funny one. Both teams are going in not the best.
Yeah.
Both teams have got injuries. Is this going to be a really stinky North London derby, or could we be served up a real classic?
I think it's what Dan was saying before. If we turn up like we do usually and we try and play open, expansive football with two at the back, with inverted fullbacks and everyone going for the jugular, Arsenal with their defensive unit and with their solidity in midfield, especially in the mid to low block, will say, right, we can pick these off. Get on that transition, which is what Arsenal are good at. They've still got some very good players. They are missing players like Jesus now. We don't like seeing players getting injured of other teams. I think that's weird behaviour to celebrate people getting injured. They're missing Saka, who is, of course, they're sort of the brain of the brain of that attack. I'm not going to say he's underrated, but he's got so much quality going forward, and his movement is going to be missed by them. They've still got some very decent players that can cause us issues. Even someone like Raheem Sterling, who has been absolutely woeful this season from his standpoint as a footballer. If we play two at the back and play our fullbacks inverted, they can get a lot of joy down those sides and then tap-ins for days, because that's just who we are, mate. That's who we are. Yeah. So we need to be clever. We need to be clever. And that's just the way it is. And we're not a clever football inside. We're on the school playground. That's how we play football. We don't act like a big six team, which is big games. You sit back and you think, wait, this is now against the smaller teams. You can be a bit more open. So yeah, we should beat them. We should balls to the wall. We should beat them. But against the big side, you think and you have a war room. You say, okay, how can we hurt the opposition? What are their weak points? What is their strategy? How can we use what they're bad at for our favour? But we don't do that. No. But other teams will. So Arsenal will see Tottenham are terrible. Better this season. Statistically, we're better at set pieces. Statistically. What's one of the things we got a new goalkeeper that's learning his back four? Fire balls into the box from set pieces. Get set pieces. Let's test them. And that's what Arsenal will do it. They will do it. And they did it against us this year.
It's going to be interesting as well, because, I mean, this is going to be a real interesting set piece battle for Kinski. Obviously, Kinski's come in. I'm not going to judge Kinski against Tamworth. It's Tamworth. I'm sorry, I can't. Thought he did really well against Liverpool. This is different now. This is going into behind enemy lines. This is going into a team that are very well drilled at set pieces. They are. Doesn't matter. People can go, oh, they're only good at set pieces. Listen, set pieces are a huge part of the game. Let's see how he does. Let's see how he fares with it. The big thing I want to see, Ben, is, and this is another discussion point that people have been talking about for a long time, is it's the does Ange adapt or does he not adapt talking point. And for me, I was having a chat with a few people yesterday in my Spurs WhatsApp group where we said, I think the only time we can really judge if he's adapted is when Van de Ven and Romero are back. What does he do then? Because my concern is that Van de Ven and Romero come back and he goes, oh, my best players are back now. Let's go high line again, really high line. Does that make sense? Is that going to be telling? Because at the moment, I feel like we're not playing as high out of necessity because Dragusin and Gray are.
Yeah.
So do you see what I mean?
It's going to be a really tough test for someone like Archie Gray, because I think he's played admirably for someone that's a centre midfielder but's been playing at left back and right back, but is now playing centre back. He's been admirable, and you can't really judge him for that. Dragu is not playing in the right position at all. It's not his position. He's the commanding defensive centre. He's basically, if you put him into this Forest team, I think he would be doing what Milenkovic has been doing. Just mopping it up, commanding in the air, just shoring it up at the back. I think he will. This is the problem. The moment we get all our players back, we'll start saying nothing. We'll wipe the slate clean, and we go, okay, we're back to stage one. No, there's a reason we're here. We're not setting the table. putting Romero and Van der Ven and Udogie in this team doesn't suddenly make us world beaters. Yes, it's really good to have all your best players back, and it is more suitable for the system. It's not going to change a lot because the problem isn't necessarily the defence. It's the people in the front of the defence that aren't, because we don't have that commander in midfield. We don't have that chief that's going to be doing what Wanyama used to do. Drop into, when things are a bit naughty, drop into that centre-back position, let those two centre-backs split and soak up and just be like, right, now we need to hold together. We need to be tight. We don't have that in front of them because this manager doesn't believe, he believes that all three of the people in front of them should be going wherever the hell they want, which is why you've got Basuma, who's playing defensive midfielder, but he's got to play all the way at left back. Oh, now I've got to go all the way. There's no one that just says, right, I'm in charge. You do this, you do that. Be tight. We don't have any leaders. And this manager has said he doesn't want them. He wants to grow them, apparently. You don't grow leaders by making mistakes. You bring in an older leader who shows you the ropes. He puts his arm around the young. It's like, right, this is how you do it. This is how big teams do it. And we need that.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, Phil Coys, you can keep saying this, but it doesn't 100% improve us. The stats show that when those three are playing, the results don't really change. So this isn't true. I know you keep saying it, but
Udogie's been playing most of this year.
Udogie's been most of this year. And again, Ben, this is the thing. I know people don't want evidence, but the difference between when VDV and Romero play and when they don't is something like 1% in the win ratio. Like it's minuscule. The same. I know that people don't want to hear that, but listen, and by the way, Romero doesn't 100% improve us. I think what I've seen of Dragoshin this season, I think he's done better this season than Romero's done. I think Romero has had a horrible season. And this is the thing. What we can't do is everyone can't sit there and praise Archie Gray. Good as Archie Gray been, but then turn around and go, oh yeah, but when this player comes back, it's better. I don't think that the facts don't show that. Look, what I want to see is, has this guy learned? I want to see, has Ange learned that when everyone's back fit, and by the way, you might never have everyone fit, Ben, which is why I hate these excuses for injuries. You go in with a squad of 25 at the beginning of the season for a reason. Everyone's never going to play every week. And at the end of the day, Josh, by the way, it's a big enough sample size. VDV and Romero played in a lot of the games that we were losing, mate. They both played when we couldn't beat Leicester, right? They both played when we lost to Crystal Palace. Yeah. They both played. They both played when we lost to Newcastle, when we lost to Arsenal. I feel like we're rewriting history, Ben. Yeah. Because it helps the narrative, but the actual facts don't back it up. Yeah. Like me, I think Romero's very overrated. I think he's a really overrated centre half. Look, the key thing for me, Ben, I'll go on to this, is when people say, "Oh, get more excited about Bergvall and about Gray and Spencer," I will when everyone's back fit. When everyone's back fit, my question mark is how much are we going to see them play? Yeah, how much are we going to see them play?
With the way Archie Gray has been playing at centre back, the moment we've got enough centre backs fit, what we should be doing is he's shown that he's got quality playing out of position. Put him in his correct position. Let's see what he can do when he's actually got the freedom to play what he wants to do. Let's see what he can do, because you know, Savva, I know, the people in the chat know, the moment our centre backs are fit, Archie Gray's on the bench and he's not going to play for the rest of the season, because that's what Ange has done. He didn't play Archie Gray. He didn't play him. He didn't play him when all our defenders were fit. When both our right backs were fit, he didn't play him. The only time he started playing Archie Gray, and I was advocating Archie Gray to play in his correct position, the only time he's played him is when he's had to play him. The only time he played Jed Spence is when he had to play him. The only time he played Serge Reguilon, who I think has actually been not good, but for a player that's been completely and utterly not match fit, the only time he played him was when he had to play him, when the other options were. The only time he had to play Bergvall is when he's had to play him. So I want to see Archie Gray in his correct position when everyone is fit. Put him as that defensive midfielder, because it's Basuma has shown statistically and through the eye test that he's not good as a number 6. He's never been a number 6. He's always been a marauding number 8. He's always been that sort of been, and he's caused us punishment when he was playing for Brighton in the number 8 position. Let's see Archie Gray as a number 6 where he wants to play and he's always played in. That's what I want to see. I want to see square pegs, square holes.
No, absolutely. And this is the thing. This is what I'll wait to see. Listen, I'm not saying Gray's not stepped in. I think he's done well, the lad. Listen, I think his passing is poor. I think his passing out the back, he keeps giving the ball away, but it's not his position. I think he's done well.
It's a different discipline now, isn't it, Savva? Playing as a centre back, being a central midfielder, and is you a lot of the time you're receiving it back to goal. You make a turn, you create a bit of space, and you move it on. Simple passes. When you've got everything in front of you, it's a bit more. It's a different position. So I'm only going to judge Archie Gray when he's playing in his actual natural position, because it's just not fair. It's not fair. We're putting a player on a pedestal and we're overhyping him when he's not even learned to walk yet as a footballer. Let's give him time, and let's actually give him time. We always say give things time, but no, we're not giving him time. We're saying we're pushing him in the deep end already. Let's let him grow.
No, absolutely. And this is the thing. I think people get carried away. Look, I'm not saying Archie Gray hasn't stepped in and done well, but I can't get excited about 18-year-olds playing out of position because they've done well. When I'll get excited is when the manager says, you know what, Archie Gray, you're going to play the next 10 games in central midfield, right? And then Archie Gray does well in midfield. Like, do you know what I mean? Bergvall's another one. It's all well and good going, oh my God, look how great. But we all know that if everyone was fit, Bergvall's not starting in these games. I don't understand why people get so uppity about it. At the end of the day, I saw somebody the other day did a video where they said, look how he's developing Spence and Gray and Bergvall. Hang on. He didn't want to give them any minutes. This is a manager that wasn't given the minutes. So I'm going to wait until let's get Van der Ven, Romero back, Bentancur back fit, right? I don't really care about Udogie as much. I'm going to be honest, Ben. I don't think Udogie's that good. And I think we talk a lot about Udogie, this great left back. I don't think he is a great left back. I think he's powerful going forward, and he was brilliant at what I saw him doing at Udinese. I think in this style, I don't think we miss him. I don't think he's any better than Jed Spence. Sorry. No, maybe an unpopular opinion. I just don't think he's better than Jed.
Both Jed and Reguilon have shown that they're left backs. They are left backs. Whereas Udogie, in this system, Udogie should be playing left wing. I think Udogie, if you played him instead, I love Sonny. Udogie is at his best when he's on the touchline against a fullback, using his pace, using his power, and putting balls in the box. I think Udogie is more of in this system, he's a left winger, just like Perisic was. If you still had Perisic in this team, Perisic would be playing left wing, not left back. He's not a left wing back. He's not a left back that's playing in centre midfield. Udogie's not technically good enough. He's a big, strong boy. He should be running. Get him running at his fullback and crossing into the box. That's what he did at Udinese. And that's what I want to see. I want to see when he's back fit. I know he's got I want to see Udogie as a left winger in this system. If we're still playing this system, play him as a left winger.
Yeah, I've seen people saying, "Oh, Udogie is a quality player." I think again, what we've done, I think we've put people on pedestals. I think Udogie's a young player with potential. He's a young player that, for me, if played like you said, if played in the right position, I think could be very good. I just don't think he's been very good for a very long time. I think he started the season last year on fire. Second half of the season, I thought he started to look really poor. I thought a lot of people, now whether or not that was being caught out of position because of tactical reasons by Ange, but I do feel that again, Ben, this is what I love about it. If I sit here right now, right, if I sit here right now and I say, oh, I don't think Porro's that good at defending, or Udogie's that good at defending, Romero, Van der Ven, Bentancur, if I say that, I get told, oh, you're negative, they're brilliant. But then when I say, okay, why are we 12th in the league? Why were we so shit for over a year?
And they blame the players.
Right? They'll say, well, Ange hasn't got good enough players. It's like, well, hang on. I'm being told they're all brilliant. Look, Udogie's only missed a couple of games. And to be fair, in that time, I think Jed Spence has done very well.
I like Jed Spence. I think it was said in our Tottenham on Tour group chat. I think Jed Spence at the moment is our best left back and our best right back.
I agree.
He's our best left back and our best right back.
I think, when you're saying there's a lot of improvement in his game, I don't think, personally, I don't think I have seen a lot of improvement. I actually think from when he's joined, I actually think his performances have gone backwards. Listen, that's just me, but I agree with you. I think Jed Spence is a better fullback than those two. Pedro Porro, for me, is very hit and miss.
Yeah.
He is very hit and miss. I think he is either brilliant or he's atrocious.
Yeah.
And at the moment,
it's another player that's not playing in his what is Udogie good at and what is Porro good at? Getting past their full, basically what Brennan Johnson should be doing, which is taking on their fullback, crossing into the box. That's what Ange wants. Getting past the fullback, low into the box. Solanke as the what they call the sacrificial lamb is the one that's creating the space by pushing back on the centre backs, which then gives space for those midfielders who then come forward and get the tap-ins. That's what Ange is supposed to be. That's what I'm being told the theory is. But then we're playing two inside forwards out wide who can't get closer to goal, who can't finish because they're not what those are. If we changed it and we got two more fullbacks, we played Udogie at left wing, on the left, far out on the left. We play Porro far out on the right and do what those two are good at, which is crossing. Those two are very good at crossing. Porro's a very good cross. That goal we scored the other day against Newcastle, fantastic cross. That's what Porro should be doing. Get cross. And also, it'd get the best out of Solanke as well because he's very good in the air. We got to start crossing.
I agree. I mean, this is an interesting comment. Paul, I agree with you. Listen, for me, all I've said is I just need to see more from Destiny Udogie when he plays. I need to see more in terms of that he is growing, that he is getting better. For me, him and Porro, the worry for me with both of them, and I suppose this is actually a worry for me throughout our entire team, Ben, just too many stray passes all the time. Too many... And it's not even the difficult passes where they're stray, Ben. It's the, oh, God, he's giving it away again straight into midfield. Now, again, I think a lot of that comes down to, I think we play too quick. I do think that when you are playing, it's natural.
Frantic.
When you play frantic football, 100 miles per hour, you give the ball away a lot. So if you look at the difference between the Premier League and the Spanish League, for example, the Spanish League isn't as hectic as Premier League. And there's a lot more cohesive movement in terms of going forward, coming back. Right. It's left to right. Keeping the ball. In the Premier League, it's so 100 miles per hour that the ball is given away at a rate of knots. Now, that's not just Tottenham, by the way, but we play quicker than most, and we do give the ball away a hell of a lot. Yeah. For me, I just think everything needs to stop by 10%. Just slow it down by 10%. Yeah. Every time Porro and Udogie get the ball, doesn't mean they have to bomb forward and try and find a 10-yard pass that they're not good enough to do. That's just my feelings on it, Ben.
What we need is one of the reasons we were never going to get him. That's why I wanted a player like Locatelli. Someone who is comfortable enough on the ball and has enough leadership materials. Right, slow it down. The manager's telling us this, but bit of in-game management from the players themselves. Right, now we're going to slow the game down and we're going to recoup. We need a few of those players. I'd love a Locatelli that can get the ball and then spray a 90-yard pass and split open an entire team, but also say, let's calm it down. Let's calm it down now. We're a bit leggy. We're giving the ball away. Let's do things simple again. We need one of those players. Again, it comes back to leadership. Like, as much as I think he's awful, a Harry Winks style player that just sometimes might just pass the ball sideways and backwards a lot, just to keep the ball, just to get a bit of the confidence back into the team. And then Let's keep the ball for a bit. Let's see it find an opening. Patience. Gaps opened. Pass the ball forward. We need one of those players. We need a metronome. We need a metronome type player.
Do you know what? Absolutely. I always think when I watch Spurs is that because we're 100 miles per hour, if you are going to try and play that way, your players' passing needs to be
silky. Bless you.
Bless me. Sorry, you're. I've just woken the dog up with a sneeze. He's looking at me like, "What are you doing?" Yeah, I think you've got to have people who are very comfortable at passing a ball to do it that quickly. What I see is you're asking Porro to do it. It's not his game. You're asking Udogie to do it. It's not his game. You're asking Sarr, Basuma. These players, their game isn't crisp, lovely passing into feet. What we used to call in coaching the wall pass. Play it into the person, then go and get it again. Bergvall, bit more. That's a bit more of his game. It's a bit more of his game, Bergvall. You can see that. But then people go, "Oh, Basuma." But Basuma's game isn't that. Basuma's game is he is a midfielder that breaks through the lines, picks up the ball deep. He'll drive through with the ball. But people go, "Oh, he's passing." Sar's passing. Well, that's not what they do. It's not.
No, they're tractor men. They are tractor men. They are work, muscle off the player. Use your athleticism to make space, and then break forward with speed. And not so much Basuma because he isn't the fastest player, but Sarr especially. He's a tractor person. He's a tractor. We need an artist. We need an artist in midfield that's going to paint the picture for the team and say, "All right, this is here. This is here. We're going to do this now." We need an artist, and we don't have. So basically, we need Luka Modric from 20 years ago. Not 20 years. Is it 20 years ago? No, 15 years ago. That's what we need. It seems like 20 years ago. We need Luka Modric.
I think you hit the nail on the head. And I think what we need isn't what Ange wants. And I think that's the difference. I think that's the kind of position we're in here where we're butting heads. Not me and you. I mean, like football fans and the club. I think you were spot on. I think a player like Locatelli. A player like Locatelli. People go, "Oh, too slow." Does this? A player like Locatelli is, I think, everything Spurs need to go. Calm down. Stop the ball bouncing back in front of the centre halves every 5 seconds. Sit him in there. Short 5-yard passes, 10-yard passes, 20-yard passes, 50-yard raking passes. He knows when to say stop and when to say, let's speed it up. And he's one of those footballers, Ben. And I'm telling you, you know this. Yeah. He's one of those footballers, for me, he's always available for the pass. He knows where.
He's got a brain. He's got a brain.
Where do I drop 5 yards so that no one's near me to collect it again? But my problem is I don't think that's what Ange wants.
No.
I think Ange wants this 100% hectic, crazy style. And that crazy style is why there's no consistency for me. When it works, it's great. But the problem is we're seeing it doesn't work more than it works. For me, that's where I think he's got to adapt a bit into the middle. And I think things would get a lot better for Tottenham if we just compromised and slow.
That's what's called squad building. You look at the tools you've got. You look at no, certainly not. It's what's called squad building. When you see the players we've got, what ingredient complements the players we've got? And what we see now with the frantic football is you need someone that's calm. So you bring them in. But our manager says, "I want more of this." That's what's going wrong. We need to calm it down. When the water's boiling too much, you put a bit of cold water in to cool it down a bit.
Why is Rodri
don't put more boiling water in when it's over boiling. You know, just calm it down a bit.
Why is Rodri perfect for a possession-based team?
Calms it down. Slows it down.
He knows, doesn't he? Rodri knows whether to quicken the tempo or to say, stop, calm down, let them get back in position. We'll get back in position. And this is the difference. I watched a great video on Rodri last year. And you guys, Search it. If you type in Rodri tactical video on YouTube, something like that, and it's Rodri for 20 minutes talking about why he does what he does on a pitch. Yeah. Videos of him, and they're going, why did you do this? And he's like, okay, so in this situation, you've got to understand he's out of position. So if I hold on to the ball for 5 seconds, I can let him come back in. He shuffles across. Now we're set. What Spurs do, we get the ball and go, go. And you're like, whoa, it's too It's
frantic. Like playing in a school playground, isn't it? It's like being at high school and you're playing on those really crappy concrete ball courts. You get the ball, the goalkeeper even goes. Everyone goes up front for no. That's how we play. He's out of position. He's not in a position. We're still passing into that area anyway. We're supposed to. The system is supposed to overload the other team, but what it's actually doing is because they're sitting in a mid block, we're actually overloading ourselves. That's what we're overloading ourselves because we're trying to do too much. We're trying to sprint before we're trying to sprint from a sitting position. You don't just get up and sprint. You go in so small and then you go. That's what we're trying to do.
I agree. And I'll tell you what, LFC Cop-Out, big up to you. Absolutely. This is what I mean. Look, McAllister was picked up by Liverpool for what? I might be wrong here. 45 million.
Something like that.
Right.
45 to 54 million, something along that range.
Yeah. And again, doesn't have to be the biggest, sexiest name. For me, doesn't get anywhere near the credit. But you know what? You know what you're going to get from McAllister. You know what you're going to get every game. A good footballer with a good brain that knows how to slow it down. And the word he's used there, calm. And I completely agree with him. By the way, Jim, I'm so sorry. I haven't seen any of this. I'm so sorry. When you're seeing he fosters team unity, well, why do we lose most weeks? Confidence, I'm not seeing that. Adaptability, definitely not what we've seen from him. Key players thrive in a fluid system. Emphasize. I feel like when people like Jim say this, it's nice. It sounds like they've read that, Ben, from some sort of coaching manual. Yeah. It sounds like they've read that from somebody sent me this as a joke the other day, by the way. Someone sent me this. I have not read it. I'm not going to read it. But it feels like someone's read that, Ben, from a book and gone, this is what Ange does. It's all well and good saying it, Ben.
Yeah.
But we've got to see it. I've got to see all of those things Jim said there. None of them at the moment are particularly true, are they?
I can't see emphasizing creativity when he's deliberately not playing his creative players in their right position and telling players like James Maddison, you've got to work hard. When
damn right.
Kulusevski, telling you Kulusevski, a creative player, you've got to. He's playing more tractor players than he's playing creative players. That's not emphasizing creativity.
Yeah,
playing
agreed.
Porro, who is a very good crosser of the ball in midfield, is not emphasizing creativity. What you're actually doing is you're showing a player's weaknesses rather than using your system to make the players to emphasize strength. You got to emphasize your players' strengths rather than their weaknesses. What's Van der Ven's weakness? His hamstrings. So what are you going to make Van der Ven do? 90-yard sprints every single game. That's good for your hamstring.
Yeah,
everything about this system shows rigidity, lack of adaptivity, and I think it is. It's cookie cutter every single week. You know what you're going to get with Tottenham, which is why teams are sussed us out. There's no depth change. That's Man United versus Liverpool when they said, okay, we were playing 3 at the back. Now we're playing 5 at the back because we know Liverpool's wingers will hurt us. That's what you got to do. You got to throw a curveball in, at least one, to say, "Oh, we've got to think now," and we don't do it. We don't do it.
No, look, I completely agree with you. By the way, just really quickly, Phil P, I agree, but there's a very big difference between playing simple passes and playing simple passes when you're running at 100 miles per hour. This is the point. It's not like we're asking people to do 5-10 yard passes standing still or moving slowly. We're asking them to do it at frantic pace. You watch Porro and Udogie, they're driving forward, and when they lay the ball off, as I've always said, when I was coaching, there was a coach that worked with me, Ben, that always used to say the phrase, smooth it. He always used to say, just make sure your pass is smooth. Make sure it's going into into the player it's going to. Make sure it's going to the right side of their body, depending on how they're positioned. Make sure it definitely gets there. A lot of ours are weak passes that don't really get there.
Conviction. There's no conviction. No. There's no accuracy. It's always put it into an area. No, accurate passes. Complete the pass rather than say, oh, it's lazy. It's lazy and it's I'll put it there. He'll get it.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. Look, I look at what Ange's style is, and listen, I applaud him for sticking to his guns in some ways. I also think that will be his undoing. I feel like if you were playing in the Championship, would you get away with it? I don't know, right? In Scotland, you're going to get away with it. I think that what the first 18, 19 months of his tenure at Tottenham should tell him is you're not getting away. You're not going to get away with it. But what's happened for me, Ben, is I think because every now and then we have a great win, don't we? Beat Man City, beat Liverpool, beat Villa. Because we have these good wins in and amongst a lot of bad results, people go, see, it can work. There's a difference between can every now and then and BAU. Business as usual.
What's your favourite 3 words, Savva?
It's context and consistency.
Correct.
Right? It
context
is.
And consistency.
Ben, when people tell me, but Savva, we beat Man City. Okay. Other teams have beaten.
So did 5 other teams.
Right. But this is my point. I would rather have, I'll be honest, I would rather have that we're consistently beating Bournemouth, Brighton, Forest, Ipswich, Palace, Leicester, and then maybe dropping the game against City rather than not beating any of them, beating City, and then turning around and saying, but we beat City.
Yeah.
But what does that mean when you're 12th in the table?
There's only one Man City, but there's a hell of a lot of teams that will fight us.
But Ben, when you're 12th in the table, it doesn't matter that you beat Man City.
No.
Like that Man City win, since that Man City win, I think we've only won 1 league game, if I'm not wrong.
Something like that, yeah.
I think we've only if I'm not wrong,
it was Southampton.
I think we've only beaten Southampton. Hang on, let's double check this. So Tottenham fixtures. So Premier League. So lost to Newcastle, drew with Wolves, lost to Forest, lost to Liverpool, beat Southampton, lost to Chelsea, lost to Bournemouth, drew with Fulham, beat City. So since that Man City game, we've won 1 in what? So since Man City, we've won 1 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One win in 8 Premier League games. But what we'll do is we'll go, but we beat Man City.
Yeah. Or at least we're still in the cups.
Right. Yeah. And for me, it's just not, I don't know. I just can't. Yeah. Oh, God. Savva, gather the stats on our win rate when Basuma plays. I mean, sure, I could get that at some point. What I would say, though, is I always think when Basuma plays well, we play better. For me, I thought Basuma was excellent in midfield against Liverpool.
Yeah.
I think he puts out so many fires. It is unreal.
Yeah.
That boy's work rate is unreal. Again, another player I don't think is being played properly. But
both Basuma and Maddison have become the scapegoats this year because they're a bit, I don't want to say maverickal because I don't see James Maddison or Basuma as a maverick, but they are a bit more mercurial than the players that Ange wants, which is much more square peg in cookie cutter. This is the player he wants because they're a bit more think outside the box and Ange player. He's more likely to scapegoat those than any other of the team. So as soon as they don't have the best game, out the team immediately. Get rid of. Instead of putting his arm around the shoulder and saying, okay, do what Maddison did last year when he made that mistake against Arsenal that almost led to a goal. He said, do it again. See what you can do. There's no arm around to say, you're my creator. I believe in you. There's no belief in the more creative players in our team. And we revert back to playing. People are going to say, I'm going at tractors, but more of the more physical, less creative options. They're more likely to scapegoat the more creative options, and that's where when you need creators in the team, those are the brain of a football team.
Yeah.
And as soon as it goes wrong, we blame the creators, but the creators are actually doing all right because we've scored a hell of a lot of goals this year. The players that aren't doing well is the defensive players because we're conceding a hat ton of goals.
Yeah, look, for me, I just think, don't get me wrong, you can use injuries as an excuse to an extent, but I just think before the injuries came in, we weren't having a good season anyway. I think there's far too many defeats for me for a club at our level. 10 defeats in 20 games averages out at 19 defeats over the season. I'm not saying we'll lose 19, but Ben, we lost 12 all of last year, and we're 2 away from that by the first 2 weeks of January. I just think something's really got to give, and that moves me into the Arsenal game. People are saying a draw would be a good result. I don't think draws anymore are. No. I think we've got to win because
we've got to start putting 3 points on the board.
I'm going to show you this.
Otherwise, we'll be sucked into a battle we don't want. We don't have the mentality to be in a mid-table battle where a couple of bad results, a couple more injuries, you can end up in the drop. We need to start winning. Arsenal are at their worst as they've been this season. I know. I think they've lost 1 game. I think they haven't lost in 10. I think something you said on your show last night. You should watch that show. If you haven't watched last night's show, it was a laugh. I think they haven't lost in 10 games or something like that. Arsenal in the league, something like that, or 1 in 10.
Arsenal are 10 unbeaten in the Premier League. I know. We're looking at their cup games and saying, "Oh, they're in bad form." They've won 3 of their last 4 in the Premier League as well.
Bad. So at their so-called weakest, we should be trying to get 3 points on the board because we need the 3 points a lot more than they do. And that's just the way it is. So we've got to try and win a game of football.
Yeah, look, I think this is the key thing for me. If we look at this table here, and the fact that I've not got the top 5 of the Premier League in this shot tells you everything you need to know about how bad we are at the moment. The worrying thing for me, Ben, okay, win the game tomorrow, right? Win the game, and if Brentford don't get a point, we can go up to 11th, right? 11th after 21 Premier League games. The worrying thing is, look at the other way. Let's say I'll do some scenarios. If we lose to Arsenal, right? We stay on 24 points. Man United have got Southampton at home. I would fully expect Man United to win that. Yeah. And West Ham have got Fulham at home. Now, again, Fulham are a decent team, but West Ham, new manager, new ideas. I don't know. So let's say Man United and West Ham beat us. We're down into 14th place. And if Crystal Palace win their game, and they've got Leicester, not easy, it's away, but if Crystal Palace win that, we could, worst case scenario, end this week. So this is by Thursday night, everyone's played in the Premier League, right?
Yeah.
By Thursday night, we could be 14th and level on points with Crystal Palace.
Which is hilarious because Crystal Palace's first win this season was against us.
Right. And then you look at Crystal Palace now. Look at Crystal Palace. They've only lost 1 in 6.
Yeah.
Right. So no one's going to tell me injuries. No one's going to tell me that Crystal Palace are fielding a better 11 than Spurs at the moment just because we've got some injuries. Yeah. No one's going to tell me that. And by the way, our injuries, let's be brutally honest. Van der Ven, Romero, right? No one's going to talk to me about Vicario anymore, Ben. No one. No. I'm now hearing from everyone that Kinski should be number 1. So we've got Van der Ven and Romero missing.
Yeah.
And Bentancur, he got concussed. Who else is missing? Who else is missing now, Ben? Really, that makes a difference
in this system? No.
Right.
Big Daddy Davis, the Welsh goat, Ben Davis, the man that's going to take us to the promised land. He's coming back with his lovely Welsh beard and his lovely quiff. I would say Ben Davis is the Savva haircut. Ben Davis and Savva. You never seen the 2 of them in the same room. So Savva getting centre back. Get Savva at centre back. They'll think he's Ben Davis.
Ian, granted, Adogi, but the thing is, Spence isn't playing badly there. So it's not like we're saying, oh my God, if Adogi had played instead of Spence, we win the game. I'm talking about game changers in the 11. At the moment, even Bentancur, I don't think has been great. No. At the moment, I feel like this narrative of we've got 10 injuries is slightly skewing what we're actually seeing, because midfield and up front, all the better players are fit. All of the better players are fit and have been playing. And look, Ben, I suppose my point to this is, if we go as far down as 14th, right, level on points with the team in 15th, at what point for you does Daniel Levy start going, fucking hell, this is bad. This is really bad.
I don't think he will sack him until if we get beat by Liverpool in the Carabao Cup semi-final. If we get beat in the semi-final at Anfield, which is very possible, although we have a more decent cup performance rate at Anfield than we do in the league, history is still, we've won in the league, we've won 5 times in 105 years at Anfield. It's very rare that we win at Anfield. We do better in the cups there for sure, history-wise. But Liverpool usually beat us at Anfield. I don't know the last time we got a result there. I can't remember. There's someone in the chat if you can let us the last time we got any points there.
At Anfield,
a 1-0 victory going into Anfield. Barcelona were how many goals were Barcelona up?
Wasn't it 3-0 or something?
3-0, and Liverpool still won, and that was with Messi in the team. For God's sake. Yeah, if we get beat by Liverpool and we go out the Carabao Cup, that's when I think Levy will pull the trigger. I think that's what I see. I think he's given him this cup run he's learned from the Mourinho drama. I think that's what he's doing.
Do you know what? I agree with you, Ben. I do 100% agree with you. Look, from my point of view, we need a win. Like we forget that it's the North London derby. We need a win. And for me, what we shouldn't be doing, and I know what our fan base will do, we need a win to go into 11th. Yeah. We should be winning that game and going, right, come on, we've now got to start winning the next 2, the next 3. What we'll do is, if we beat Arsenal, it will be, see, we're amazing. We'll be 11th in the table. We've got no humility as a fan base at all.
If we lose, Savva, they will say on the flip side, if we lose, but Arsenal are 5 years into their project. You should be giving Ange 5 years. The excuses are already made. For both sides, they're already made.
For me, we've got to win. We can't keep saying to ourselves, like somebody said in the show earlier, it's a bit of a free hit.
No, it's not.
Why?
Free hits are gone.
Why is any game ever a free hit? I heard this about Galatasaray, Ben. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Galatasaray's a free hit. We've won our first 3. Well, we're now currently in a position where we dropped out the top 8 of automatic qualifying. Now, all of a sudden, we're going, oh, shit, we've got to do some bit. But free hit, everyone was telling me. So, look, I don't want to label a point. For me, at the end of the day, let's forget all the Ange in. Let's forget all the Ange out talk. Let's talk about
a game of football.
Tottenham need to win a game of football. Yes, we need to win a game of football. And you know what's stupid? If we win tomorrow night, it'll be everyone loses their mind. Gutted. If we lose, gutted. For me, if we lose, I think this manager should be sacked. Now, the words I used were, I think he should, not I think he will.
Will he be? Yeah.
I don't think he will. However, what if we get slapped up? What if I don't think we will. I think it's going to be a draw. What if we do lose 4 or 5-0? He'd have to go, surely, Ben. Surely he'd have to. You can't lose to your neighbours massively and be 14th in the table and go, yeah, but he's in the semi-final of a League Cup. Can you?
I don't know. We're in such uncharted territory. Levy is not acting the way he usually acts in terms of manager. He seems to have backed this manager more than he's backed any other manager, which is why Spurs are now looking for a new medical director. We're looking for a new head of the medical team. We're looking for new medical staff after this new look into the way our medical team's been. I've been saying sack the medical team for the last 6 years. I've been saying it for years. We're in uncharted waters. We're giving a manager a lot of money and we're giving him the employees we want. We seem to be backing him and it's just not working.
Yeah, no, I agree. By the way, Rob, what happens if we win by 4 or 5? Then we go into 11th in the table and we stop the rot. Listen, let's be honest. This game is needed to stop the rot. We've not won a Premier League game now for 4 games, right? We have lost 3 and drawn 1 of our last 4 Premier League games. this isn't a time. I've never known so much bragging for how bad a club is.
Yeah.
This is now crisis point for me,
Yeah.
Ben. This is a crisis where you go.
This is almost at the point where you bring in a Sam Allardyce. That's how bad we are at defending. That's how bad it is.
Listen, any other big club would make
Big
changes. We know
Cuba
that.
says get Sam Allardyce in. We can attack, but we can't defend. Bring in Big Sam. Bring back Cuba. Bring back Cuba.
Again, our last win in 8 Premier League. We've got 1 win in 8 Premier League games, and that win is against the team who are bottom of the table. And let's have a look. Yeah. Let's have a look how far bottom they are. They have got 6 points all season. Yeah. Right?
They're in Derby territory at the moment. Remember Derby County when they got that's where they are at the moment.
But 1 win in 8 against the worst team in the league. This is a crisis. Don't be fooled because we beat Arsenal, because we beat Liverpool 1-0. Don't be fooled. This is a crisis. This club needs to win games of football. This club needs to turn around now and go, right, we've got Arsenal away, Everton away, Leicester at home. Yeah, that's got to be 9 points. We've got to get 9 points. Not, Arsenal's a good draw. No, not when you've won 1 in 8. No, it's not. Because then, if you don't win tomorrow, we're now 1 win in 9 Premier League games. That's quarter of a season. 9.5 games is quarter of a Premier League season. You can't have a whole quarter of a season where you win 1 game. You can't. So for me, say whatever you like. I don't care if it's Ange. I don't care. We've got to start winning games of football.
Yeah.
It's that simple for me.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can be in a fight you don't want to fight. No one wants to fight a relegation battle, especially these bunch of players. They're too weak. None of these players have actually been in a relegation battle, except for Archie Gray when he was at Leeds. Possibly, I don't know if he was in the team at that point. Possibly one of my Leeds friends. I love my Leeds friends, so big up the Leeds guys. Maybe Archie was just coming through into the team, but I'm not sure. Maybe not. I don't know any of these players that can fight a relegation battle. They just don't have the muscle.
Well, I think the one saving grace is that Southampton, Leicester, and Ipswich aren't very good. The other saving grace after that is that Wolverhampton Wanderers did have a terrible start. Now, I don't think Wolves will go down. I think they've got enough quality in their team. That
Cunha is enough to keep them up. Cunha's quality.
Yeah, I think they'll stay up. But
that's the player Arsenal should sign this January. That's the player they should be buying. Acuna.
Let's have a look, right? Everton, for example. So Everton have got
Villa.
They've got Villa tomorrow night, Everton. Yeah. What we don't want to be in a position, Ben, is that Everton get a win tomorrow in Moyes' first game. It is his first game, isn't it, tomorrow? Everton get a win under Moyes in his first game against Villa. Then their next game is against Tottenham. What we don't want to do, because if they win both those games, Ben, do you know Everton could be 1 point behind Tottenham? And they're currently in 16th place. Yeah. So we've got to be really, really careful here. Not that we're going to get relegated, but this manager, I'm going to say this. I don't care if he wins the League Cup. If he finishes in the bottom half of the table, for me, that's the sacking. I'm not sacrificing. Yeah. For me, I don't care. Win a trophy, yes, great. I'll always respect him for that.
A lot of Spurs fans want that trophy because we're so desperate for a trophy. But if the trophy, trophy doesn't lead you as a stepping stone to get better because you finally got over the line, which means you finally got that winning mentality to get you over the line in the bigger trophies, you're getting over that duck at the worst possible time. It sort of becomes an anomaly. We need to be winning that League Cup when we're 6th, 7th, because we've won one big game. Now we can win multiple big games, and that will get us from a top 6 team to a top 2 team, because you've got to win when the pressure is on. That's when you want to win. When there's no pressure on us, because let's face it, we're 12th. There's no pressure on us at the moment because we're so crap in the league. We win that, it's brilliant. So
I agree. Listen,
the high pressure situation.
I think I always talk about this. I think we conflate 2 arguments. I think we really conflate two arguments. One, do Spurs need to win a trophy? Yes.
Yes.
For me, that should not mean in any way, shape, or form that we
No,
finish bottom
with the
half
prices
of the
we
table.
pay, we should not be 15th.
But
Shouldn't
for
be.
the stadium size, the money spent, the prices we pay, there's nothing that should be bottom half. I don't care if that's 11th, 12th down. We should not finish bottom half. And no one in our fan base was telling me we're going to finish bottom half. No one.
Not even I. Eeyore, I've got the hat on. You can prove it. Even me as Eeyore, if you asked me at the beginning of the season, where do you think we would be on January the 14th? I would have said there's no way we would be 12th. I would say at least we'd be in the top half, maybe 7th, 8th, but with a view to getting closer to that top 4. I'd be like, you know what? That's where we are at the moment. Never would I have said we would be 12th, looking at possibly being joint 15th. By the end of game week, whatever game week it is. Game week 21.
This is game week 21.
Yeah.
Ben, let's have a look just quickly. So it seems like all the transfer news is centered around one player. Now, that doesn't mean we're not doing other bits in the background, but the one that is in the limelight, the one that is in the media is Kolo Muani. And at the moment, what we're hearing this morning is that Tottenham have we as in fans.
What we're being allowed to hear, basically.
Yeah,
what we're being allowed to hear.
Not like I'm Sky Sports. Is that Tottenham have now submitted an offer to PSG for Kolo Muani. It's an initial loan with an option to buy. Apparently, PSG will only let him leave if it's a loan with an obligation. Now,
they have to get him out the door. They need to get some of that 90 million back. They have to get him out the door for FFP reasons. But let's face it. Look at Kolo Muani. Does he suit the way Tottenham want to play? No, at all. He's not a winger. He's not a winger. He's not a central striker. Kolo Muani is best when he's playing with someone, which is what France do when they have Giroud up. Well, when they had Giroud up top, and they would always have the little person next to him because Giroud wins balls in the air because he's a technical marvel, and then that striker next to him would be the pacey one. That's what Kolo Muani's good at. I'm not going to say, does Kolo Muani get in the team? Yes, I think he would possibly get in the team, but
he definitely gets in the team.
Does he suit the team, though, the way we play football? No. We need a winger. I think our best current winger is playing at Leeds United at the moment. That's how
that's how bad we've been, Ben, that I agree with you.
Our best winger is playing for Leeds.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think this is an interesting one with Molo Kawani, Muani, because, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my God, he's amazing, get him in. But I'm also not going to sit here and say, no, don't bring him in.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be really interesting because for me, there's a huge difference between saying, right, you've got Muani for 5 months on loan versus, well, we've got Muani on loan with a 50 million obligation to buy, because if it doesn't work out, and he's not had a great couple of years, don't get me wrong, when I watch him, I think he's very hit and miss, which for me, he suits Tottenham because that's what we buy. We buy players that are hit and miss, Ben.
Yeah.
For me, I think he's got to go straight into that first team if we get him. What I don't want to see is we bring in Muani and we sit him on the bench. I've got no interest in that. Get him in, get a different dynamic in that front three. But
do you know how Kolo Muani would work at Spurs, Savva? If this manager realised that he's got 2 very good wing backs and he's got Solanke, who's very good in the air, you play 2 up top. You play Solanke and Kolo Muani. You play wing backs who are good at getting down the wing. And then you got, you know what? That makes sense. You got your quick one in Kolo Muani. You've got your energetic, beastia one in Solanke who works hard and who's good in the air, that can win headers. And then you think, yeah, that works. Those 2 players would actually be really good to go because Solanke would make the space by dragging players out of position, and Kolo Muani would use his pace to get through that space. That works, but we don't change.
My worry though, we can bring in a winger, we can bring in a forward. Yeah, I'm not saying we don't need to, but for me, the deeper issues run. Sorry, the issues run deeper than that. The issues for me still, I don't think he's got it right at the back. I don't think he's got it right in midfield. I don't
No.
think the tactics are right. So will Mawani add? Is Mawani the guy that comes in and we go, oh, this is the guy that finishes off all the chances we create? Well, his career doesn't suggest that he's prolific. He's had one good year. And again, this kind of screams to me like this is a foreign version of Solanke, where we've seen a guy with one good year 2 years ago in Germany. He's gone to PSG. Look, I always think it's difficult when you go to PSG because they are a bit of an anomaly as a football club. But my question is, which Mawani are we getting? Are we going to get the Mawani that ripped it up in Germany, that is desperate for a place in the France squad for the next World Cup?
Yeah.
Or are we going to get the Mawani that has not really done a lot for 2 years? I'm at the stage, though, Ben, where...
Which system did Kolo Mawani thrive in? 3-5-2 under Glasner.
3-5-2. I'd love Glasner at Spurs. I'm not Ben. I'd love Glasner at Spurs. He'd come in. He'd play the 3-5-2. But listen, I'm at a stage where I would get him in Mawani. I know what will happen. We'll sign Mawani on loan. If we do sign Mawani on loan, our fans will lose their mind like we've just signed Lionel Messi.
Mbappe.
Yeah. But what we've got to do is if he if he comes in, play him. Play him. What I don't want is one game he's playing, then Johnson's playing. One game he's playing, then Son. If it means Son sitting on the bench, for example, and he goes from the left, do it. If it means Johnson sitting on the bench and he plays from the right, do it. But something's got to give. It can't be that we're bringing in people on loan and sitting them on the bench for me.
Yeah.
They've got to be players that play.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree with you. I agree with you.
Just my opinion.
Yeah. It's what you've got to do. You've got 5 months. I haven't seen us play him. Play him every game. You've only got 5 months. Let's see where he's at.
I haven't seen us link with anyone else really. Yeah. I've seen names float around, but there's been no. We are halfway through the transfer window tomorrow. I make it right. Tomorrow is halfway through the transfer window, and I would have expected that for a club that are talking about we desperately need bodies and this, that, the other. I would have expected that something more would have been done than a goalkeeper by now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just my opinion.
Especially when we need when we desperately need a left centre half and possibly a left centre half that can play left back. It's one of those ones. We need a utility player at the moment. That's why
he said he doesn't want that.
Yeah,
Ben, you want that. I want that. He's turned around and said, hasn't he? Look, with Van der Ven coming back, Romero coming back, Davis coming back, that he's not buying a defender because he thinks he's got enough. And I think that's really short-sighted.
Yeah. Get a defender on loan then. See where they're at. Get a defender on loan for 5 months. See what they can do. Yeah.
Yeah. Timo's on loan and on the bench always. I can't talk about Timo Werner. It's too embarrassing. All I'll say is that 2 of those front 3 that played against Tamworth, 2 of the worst forwards I've ever seen in a Tottenham shirt. But hey, we won't go into that. Ben, I am going to leave it now. I've got a few super chats.
Yeah.
Just quickly before we do, let me do the super chats. So I'll come back to Phil's question. Phil P, sorry, this was ages ago, mate. Sorry. Said, welcome to the Kulu Defence League at Dan Potts.
KDL.
Jesus Christ. Big up, Phil P. A user said, last time we won at the Emirates was 2.
That's the last time in the league. That's the last time in the league.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, I was there as well. We won it in. Was it the League Cup we won in when Dele Alli did when Kane did that looping pass to Dele? That was 2015.
Yeah, that might have been in the cup. In the league, it was definitely
it was
definitely Yunus Kabul with the header. We were 2-0 down.
What a day that was! What a day that was!
3-2. Phil Coys, your question. I like this as a question. It says, what do you both think of Kinski? Do you think he's close to taking over that number 1 spot?
2 games, no sample size.
Tough, innit? Tough to say.
Yeah.
Tough to say.
Not yet.
I mean, listen, first of all, I think it's really difficult to judge him against Tamworth.
Yeah.
I would expect him to have a comfortable day against Tamworth. He was good against Liverpool. But again, I think we're doing that thing where we're going so overboard before we've actually allowed players to have a run of games and actually show it. Because the problem is, right? The problem is, if Kinski in the next couple of games has a massive howler, right? Let's say he has a massive howler tomorrow night and it's the goal that causes Arsenal to win, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
People will suddenly go, oh, he's not ready for Premier League yet. He's only young. But there'll be the same people that last week saying he's better than Vicario. And I think revisionism again here is great, because before Vicario got injured, I'm hearing how great he is when I said, I think he's okay, Ben. I think Vicario's okay. I don't think he's a great keeper. I don't think he's a terrible keeper. I just think he's okay. Again, I was told I'm negative and he's brilliant and blah, blah, blah. Now, all of a sudden, those same fans, Kinski comes in and has 2 cup games, and suddenly...
They've got the shiny new toy. Get Vicario out the door. It's the shiny new toy.
Right. So, by the way, I'm not saying Kinski can't be our number 1. I just feel that...
It's good to have 2 really good goalkeepers like Man City do.
Yes.
Ortega's a good keeper and Edison's a good keeper. You can rotate them because, again, being a goalkeeper, yes, you're not moving as much as an outfield player. You're still using your brain 90 minutes of a game of football, and you've got to be quick as a cat when you need to be. So you do need 2 really good keepers that work with each other and push each other. Whereas we've had the Tree, even though the Tree has been very decent this year. When he's been asked, of course, and Man United aside, he made a couple of others howlers, but he's not been the worst at the football club this season. That's for certain.
No, absolutely. And by the way, Philly, listen, I agree. By the way, I think Kinski's looked very good with his handling. But again, I'm not somebody that sees a player for one game and goes, "Oh my God, they're amazing." Let's see. Has he been tested yet? For me, I think against Liverpool, I thought he did well. I didn't think there was a huge number of things for him to do. Let's see. The set pieces tomorrow night going to be a big ask for him. Let's see. How does he fare if we do get into a bit of not of a relegation scrap, but if we do, kind of spiral down the table even further. But listen, what I would say is this, and I know people don't want level-headedness, Ben. What I would say is this: very promising start for the young lad.
Yeah.
Very promising start. Looks good. Let's see. I know that people will go, you're negative.
When you're the goalkeeper with them, according to stats, we've got 2 of the best pass completion rates for both our goalkeepers in Europe. When Kinski's 21 and he's got an excellent pass completion rate, you've got to go, okay, he looks decent on what he can do. Let's now see it on. We've seen it on paper. Let's see it on grass, because football ain't played on paper, is it, Savva? It's played on grass.
Exactly.
I
know we're in a now era, but I'm in the era of, you know what? If Kinski's that good, we'll leave him in there for the rest of this season. Make that spot your own, young man.
Yeah.
Make that spot your own. But I'm not going to put pressure on him.
Yeah.
There's going to be a mistake. He's a young keeper, new league. There's going to be a mistake.
Yeah.
And I think somebody's made a great point in the chat. Let's have a look. Someone said here, where is it? So I can't see it at the moment. Somebody said, we'll see how good he is when he has to bounce back from his first mistake. And I agree with you. That's what we'll see. Look, but again, it's idiots like this. Kinski keeps clean sheets. One of the best keepers in Europe. I mean, like, you've got to, first of all, stop shouting.
Why was he at Sparta Praha then? I'm not, no disrespect to Sparta Praha, but they're not a big team. If he was one of the best keepers at Europe, he would already have been headhunted by one of the bigger clubs. They'd say, right, you become our number 2 for a couple of seasons, like Man City have done with Ortega. You be our number 2 for a couple of years, and when it's your time, you got the shirt. If he was that good, why hasn't a big club come in for him as of now? Why is it taking until now? So let's see how. I'm not going to knock Kinski because it was great against Liverpool.
Very well.
Good against Liverpool, and he was assured versus Tamworth. Let's see it again now. You're only as good as your last performance.
But no one in football anymore seems to actually want to see it for a season, 2 seasons. Everyone just seems to judge on 2 games. He's the best. Listen, I think he looks really good, right? Yeah, I think he looks good. But again, I'm only judging him on Liverpool and Tamworth. Like, against Tamworth, I would expect him to absolutely command that box. I would expect him to stand up to anything they've got to throw at him. Yes, I would. By the way, yeah, breaking news. I say breaking news. It's really not that breaking news. Ange Postecoglou has confirmed that the only injury we picked up at the weekend was Timo Werner.
And it's a hamstring injury.
And it's a hamstring injury again. More hamstring injuries.
What's that? That's hamstring injury number 9.
Don't. But it's not Ange, remember. It's not on Ange. But he did say that Richarlison is back. Yay. So Richarlison is back. Timo Werner is out injured with a hamstring. To be honest, I really don't think it matters whether Timo Werner's got a hamstring injury or not. He is a truly awful player, and we were right. That signing in the summer set the agenda for how poor our summer was going to be. Ben, I am going to... Oh, hang on, I'm getting set things all the time. Here you go. Postecoglou on potential outgoings. We can't afford to let players go. There could be some young ones like Alfie Dorrington on loan, and young Lancashire could be as well. I thought it was a youth project. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Listen, I don't think... You're not being rude. I don't think the injury is good for us. At the end of the day, if he's not good enough, he shouldn't be starting, whether he's fit or not. But I hear you, my man. See, but again, look, Phil gets so over the top every time. I love you, Phil, but you're so over the top with everything.
I love Phil. I love Phil.
Yeah, I love Phil, but this is so silly. I'm not saying Liverpool isn't a test, but we're saying properly tested, game after game, shot after shot, crosses, corners, free kick. You can't judge a keeper off 2 games. Yeah. Like, it's utter madness.
Especially a goalkeeper position. That's a position you need to see a keeper in for a very long... Sure. Goalkeepers have very long careers. It's why even Hugo Lloris, he's in LA at the moment. He's in LAFC. He's been around for so long now. A goalkeeper is a long position. Let's see over a long period of time. Let's see.
Yang has only been here 12. I don't remember talking about Yang. I'm not really sure what that's got to do with the price of bread. Any idea, Ben? Yang has only been here 12 days. I don't know what that means.
Beats me.
I don't know. Anyway, one of those comments, I don't know. Look, at the end of the day, let's see what happens. Maybe Yang's going to go straight out on loan. Lancashire, for me, should have been on loan in the summer. I think we've seen that Ange has got no interest in playing these kids in any way, shape or form. He's got no interest in playing the kids unless it's last resort. Listen, I am going to leave it there.
Galatasaray.
Oh my God, don't. That game killed me. The whole... It's a free hit. We've qualified already for the Europa. And now you're going, End
the stream, Dave. End the stream,
Dave. Again, people got too comfortable like they normally do. Phil, I think we've all said we like his performances so far. But again, against Liverpool, I don't think... It wasn't... Right. Do you remember just quickly before we end the stream, you know when we lost 6-3 to Liverpool?
Yeah.
Right. And they had like 25, 28 shots or whatever it was.
Let's see what he does with that.
Right. Now, when we played Liverpool the other week, it wasn't that. That's what I mean by tested. When Liverpool are at full flow, when Arsenal, if they're at full flow, Chelsea, I want to see this guy over 10, 15, 20 games tested. Not one game against Liverpool and one game against Tamworth. Anyway, Spurs fans will do what we do. We've done it with Archie Gray. We've done it with Bergvall. We're going to do it with Kinski. We're going to do it with we did it with Udogie. Udogie was christened the best left back in the league last year. Ben, thank you very much for coming on. I've appreciated your time. Thank you very much.
As always, Savva, as always, please sub. Get us to 800.
No, Phil, we won't. I'm talking about sample size, not 2 or 3 games. Let's Phil. I can't do it. I can't do it. Phil's upset that he was so wrong about everything he said to me about Ange. He's so upset that now he's trying to find something edgy to say. I know, Phil. Take care, everyone. Please subscribe to Ben. There's over 300. Only over 330 of you in here. Please subscribe to Ben. I am going to end the show there. Thank you very much, everyone. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Leave you out.
Leave you out.